spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Lea Ubaga. Kenya Bureau of Standards officials are still investigating 15,000 kilograms of rice that's not safe for human consumption that was seized in a warehouse in Embakasi, Nairobi. The search was conducted after KEBS officials were informed by their colleagues about the product that was ready to be delivered to the market. In the incident, a commotion broke out when the owner of the rice claimed that it was approved by the relevant authorities to be sold in this country.
How is this? Is it counterfeit? Did anyone complain?
Have we done that?
Is it expired? It's not expired. We purchased legally, we paid for it, and then we are sitting on it. We found it, the rice looks bad. We asked them to collect it back and then replace with a good rice. Now they want to carry with the rice. Now health, public health and then KEBS and counterfeit, all three have got different views on this rice.
He criticized KEBS officials for declaring that the rice is not safe for human consumption despite not conducting an inspection. He also admitted that among the thousands of kilos of rice, only a small percentage of the product was found to be unsafe for use.
So I'm here just to watch what you guys are going to do with my rice.
In warehouse, there is what we call space utilization. Because the rice was not being sold, we cannot put it on the front dispatch area. So we need to put it on the behind other goods. So it was not hidden. It has not been sold for many months, as the director said. And I can attest that it was not hidden.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says the government is considering bypassing Finance Bill 2025-2026. Mbadi, who spoke during a town hall interview on a local TV station, revealed that his ministry was contemplating avoiding another finance bill before the implementation of the current one so that it does not continue unburdening Kenyans. According to the CS, the Treasury's policy of upholding the principle of taxes as predictable and certain to taxpayers called for deliberation to strike a balance in ensuring revenue collection is fair to all Kenyans.
We will not be making many changes to our tax laws. As a matter of fact, we are even discussing at the Treasury whether next year we should just avoid bringing anything called finance bill at all. So, but there are certain unfair imbalance between taxes that we must correct, where some people pay tax and others don't. I don't think anyone in this room would be happy if they pay tax and others don't pay tax.
Mbadi argues that the current Finance Act advocates for an increased tax base by ensuring that all Kenyans remit their tax dues fairly. He said that the ministry has laid proposals to ensure all citizens who currently are not included in the tax bracket are brought in and pay their taxes responsibly in order for the government to reduce taxation without affecting revenue collection.
The amendments that we are bringing, in fact, a lot of them, the larger percentage is to help make life easy for Kenyans. It is not even to yield tax, but there are some which would yield tax. These ones we are bringing because of fairness in taxation. We want every Kenyan to pay their fair share of tax.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called on governors to work together with the national government in order to be able to solve the problems they're currently facing across counties. Speaking at the Council of Governors Conference here in Nairobi, Mudavadi said there are some important services that need the contribution of the national government.
You have given us a very good example of why we must work together. And you gave the example of in areas of insecurity, for instance, if there's a conversation and you have doctors coming in certain hotspots, it is important because assume that you negotiate for a package of doctors or something, then the national government is unaware. Then unfortunately, and we have had incidents, you hear that the doctors have been kidnapped. It now ceases to be a county problem, and it becomes a national problem, and it creates a lot of tension, and it can actually even devastate bilateral relations between countries.
At the same time, Madawadi has raised concerns about conflicts between some counties and the judiciary, saying that this is tainting the image of the nation.
So in terms of how we handle our policies, then how do we look at the situation in terms of anchoring those counties that are carrying the extra challenge on behalf of Kenyans? These are issues that must be reflected as we think through our policies. The PS gave the example of Meru. It has created a problem for us because it has painted us as a country that does not observe the rule of law. Courts have made some decisions. A county government acted out of the law.
That's the Newswire. I'm Lydiah Ubaga.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside. Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping up.
You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man.
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can't run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Lydiahs, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
when you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside. Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping up.
You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state of, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning and welcome to a rainy Thursday. The 7th of November is going to be an interesting one. There's traffic that has started on Kangunda Road and it's getting its way through towards Outer Ring. Outer Ring itself, as you go through towards the Thika Superhighway and this other end towards North Airport Road, we should be all right. As you're getting onto the Thika Superhighway, there's already traffic starting to build here and there, but for the most part, you're getting into the CBD without any hold-ups whatsoever. A quick look at James Gishuru. Traffic is flowing. You want to experience James Gishuru without any traffic, now would be the time to do so because it's likely to clog up as we get into traffic hour this morning. You're fine on the Southern Bypass as you are on Langata Road, and getting into the CBD, you'll be able to traverse in and out right now, not a problem. Let's see what Thursday morning has in store. Help us keep things moving this morning. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
How you doing, Mambo Namnagani? It is 13 minutes after 6 on this 7th day of November 2024. It's a happy Thursday, is it? No. Is it a happy Thursday?
No, it isn't a happy Thursday.
Why? Oh. Nini mbaya bwana? Okay.
Oh. You make your own happy, I guess.
What is it, Ziti?
City on the jam.
No, it's your jam. I'm perturbed.
You're perturbed?
Yes, I'm very perturbed.
Hey, Buana.
Otherwise?
Apart from my perturbment, I'm good.
Perturbed by what, City?
You know, injustice, really. We look at the country sometimes and we wonder what it is that informs the leadership of the political leadership of this country and how it is they determine what is best for the country. And you would assume that in your workplace, certain things wouldn't happen the way they do. The very things that you complain is happening at the national level, you find it happening in your workplace. That is not. It can be depressing. Very depressing. Very, very depressing.
Usijali ndugu. Let us fight for justice. Fight for justice. Fight for justice. It's Justice Thursday anyway. And you? Are you fighting for justice?
Always. Yeah? Every day.
You're always fighting injustice?
Always. In big ways and small. That's the way it's got to be every day.
Okay. Unaona kama unashinda ama bado?
Small win sometimes, but the win is not always immediate. Yeah. But it will come.
Yeah, it happens. See, me, I tell you.
How are you doing this morning, Eric?
Me, I am okay.
You're fine? It seems like there's been a bit of a rain on your parade this morning. You came with Happy Thursday.
City is fighting injustice. He's a freedom fighter.
I wasn't fighting it. I'm just mulling over it. When I said fighting it, you will know. You will see also.
You will see.
You'll see.
You'll be given the gift of?
Sight.
Yeah. Godspeed, City.
Thank you very much.
It's Thursday. Yesterday we had the Honorable Chief Justice of Liberia. Today we are going to have the Honorable Chief Justice of Kenya. At 8 a.m. Martha Karambu Koome will be joining us to have a conversation about the Supreme Court. So it is marking 12 years since the Supreme Court was first established.
It's a really young court.
Yeah. How many of those original judges are still in there? So there's Smoking and Joking and Jockey. The others, I think, have just joined, bit by bit, small by small, later by later.
Was Muhammad Ibrahim that first?
Was oh yeah, he was.
Yes.
Yes, he was Muhammad Ibrahim. Yes, yes. So the other four, the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice, Justice Lenaola, I think, joined later. Yeah, who's the fourth one? Okoh. Yes, Justice Okoh joined later. Inaenda namna hiyo. Namna gani? Namna hiyo. So she will be here and we'll talk about reflecting on the Supreme Court's jurisprudence, 12 years of defending the Constitution. Now, there are very many people who would be arguing that this Supreme Court appears to have stopped defending the Constitution. They're just sitting there with it. You come, if you want to walk on it, as long as you don't carry it from here.
Yeah.
Okay. But yes, we'll have the conversation with her at 8 a.m. That's when she joins us. At 7 o'clock first, we'll have a conversation about the PPPs, public-private partnerships. What does that mean? What the law says, what the processes for PPP contracting are. And you remember we had this conversation early in the week with engineer Mai, who was telling us about PPPs and how people misunderstand. So we decided let's bring the person who's in charge of it. The Director General of the PPPs at the National Treasury, Christopher Keregwa, will be joining us at 7 a.m. to talk about the process of PPP contracting. Also, we'll maybe want to hear, are there case studies of where PPPs have worked and even in Kenya and all. At 9 o'clock, we'll talk about studying in Ireland. We'll be joined by Manish Sardana, who's the founder and CEO of Crackdown, and Nick Marmion, who is Education in Ireland team lead for Middle East and Africa. So they will be telling us about this Saturday's Study in Ireland fair that's happening at the Garland Mall in Parklands. Yeah. In coming days, we'll be talking to Kamala Harris and also to hear what she thinks about democracy in America.
And after that, we will also be talking with Trump himself to find out what it feels like to be in the White House for the second time.
Yes. 19 minutes after 6, tell us about the weather. Sawa?
The Situation Room. The only way to mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi. The weather with Spice FM.
Drizzle in the city this morning, Nairobi at 16 degrees. We'll see highs of 21 and lows of 15. We're looking at partly sunny conditions through Thursday in Nakuru, highs of 22, and it's cloudy at 15 in Nyeri with highs of 22, while Eldoret is cloudy at 14. We'll see highs of 24. It's 26 degrees in Mombasa. We'll see highs of 31 and highs of 31 as well in Malindi, where it is currently 26. 21 and mostly cloudy in Kisumu with highs of 28, while at 17 it's cloudy in Kakamega with highs of 27. Cloudy at 20 in Kampala with highs of 26 and lows of 19, while Dar es Salaam at 26 will be partly sunny with highs of 31 and lows of 25. It's 14 and cloudy in Johannesburg with highs of 26 and lows of 13, while Mogadishu at 26 is cloudy, highs of 31, 10 degrees and mostly sunny in Addis Ababa already with highs of 21, and we'll see highs of 31 in a mostly cloudy Lagos at 26. It's 24 and cloudy in Kinshasa with highs of 31. Beijing 12 degrees and sunny Thursday afternoon, going to highs of 16, while it's 10 degrees and cloudy in Paris this morning. We'll see highs of 13 and lows of 8. London is cloudy at 10 degrees with highs of 13 and lows of 9, and New York Wednesday night is cloudy at 22, coming into Thursday highs of 26 and lows of 18.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Salimie na uambie pole.
Michael Olande is greeting us from the land of 1,000 hills and says congratulations to Trump and it's time to work now. Desmond Oti says good morning Team Spice. Mbona nashuku Donald Trump amefanyia Kamala ile kitu ama niachane na IBC ya Amerika. Okay. Kiambati wa Mwangi.
Watu wakubali matokeo bwana.
Accept and move on.
Bwana. This one haina mambo mengi.
Bwana, it's
no, this one haina mambo mengi.
There isn't. There isn't. Jack Atambo says he's greeting salams from Naivasha. The trumpets blew the calm away. Wow, it's going to be a rough ride. Kiambati Wamwangi says good morning and blessings. Douglas Kibogong says good morning. Okay, we'll just allow you to greet us like that. Don Sabo says good morning. Trump win. Kenya should start counting its losses. How are you into Erican City? Well, how are you?
Fit.
Fantastic. And City?
I'm very well, thank you.
Perturbed. Robin Zivogo says good morning from Mombasa. Douglas, you're still asking about Equatorial Ngonga. Keep asking. Good morning, Spice, says my prince. America is a woman state. We are not ready for a woman president now or in the future. Where? Okay, that's what Americans are saying. Okay, sawa. Deno Mwante says good morning, team. Akiki says good morning from Mbarara in Uganda. Carol Nyambura anatupenda sana. Tunakupenda pia. Ndu Erican City. Now you can relocate Spice Studios to Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Don't forget to take Egusi with you. Okay. Lillian Mongare says good morning from Kikambala in Kilifi County. Tuned in is Wajiro. Good morning to you, sister. Tuned in from Kisumu. Dr. Fico is here. Johnston Asava says good morning, great team. Getting you loud and clear from Taveta. Rakim Madaga says good morning. Wangi Juma says also good morning. Hope you're having a good time. Thank you for joining us this morning. Truthful Radio. Yes, indeed. Kim P says good morning. You have many things to say about this American election. Agri Momanyi is also greeting us and says things about another impeachment. Okay. George Okoh, good morning to you. Owen Karaoke is tuned in and is commiserating with your perturbment, CT. Moses Mwangi.
My perturbation.
Exactly. It has a thing to say about the judiciary. I guess you can tune in at 8 o'clock with the Chief Justice. Sophia Fasiu says good morning. Jumbo. Wilson Obonya is greeting all of us. John Gishoku is also tuned in here. Jiwe says good morning to you all. David Shegen Dongo says good morning. Greetings from Addis Ababa. Good morning to you. Jimmy Gakio says good morning. Ben says best show ever.
Very good.
Karibu sana. Thanks for joining us.
Asante. City? Bado iko DRC.
Sisi iko DRC.
Okay.
Right. Right. You know, this country got independence in 1960. Just so that you know. And immediately after independence, there were some moves there were some secessionist moves.
Okay.
Didn't work out very well. Well, here we are today. The proverb, a message from a dead man is a poison for the one who doesn't respect it.
A message?
Let me repeat it.
Please.
A message from a dead man is a poison for the one who doesn't respect it.
Doesn't respect the message or the dead man?
That's why it's a proverb. You decide.
It cannot be man.
Oh, they didn't say dead body. They said dead man. So if you don't respect the message from the dead man, then
it's a
it
message.
could be a bad omen for you.
Poison.
Sumu.
Okay.
It's all trumped up on the front page of the Standard this morning. Trump season 2 in a stunning political comeback. John. Hey, his name is John. Yes. DJT. 78 survived 2 assassination attempts in grueling campaigns to defeat Vice President Kamala Harris at 60 and win the presidency in a decisive victory. Trump is also on track to win the popular vote, the strongest showing for a Republican since 2004. His second term has sparked mixed reactions worldwide as many brace for another period of uncertainty and upheaval in global affairs. It was interesting because it actually was a whitewash victory for him, looking at, a Congress win, likely to win the popular vote in the electoral college, looking at, across board 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was red. It was red, actually. And he eventually ended up getting 277 of those votes to Kamala Harris's 224.
Okay.
All right, looking at other headlines. History as Kenyan-born wins a district seat in the US. She did, actually.
Wapi? Kule Minnesota?
Okoh. No, it was in...
This in Minnesota?
It's Minnesota.
Yes. Haiwezi kuwa mahali ingine. Haiwezi.
It was not surprising.
Haiwezi kuwa mahali ingine. Hapana.
Okay. Treasury chief unveils plan to boost economy. They should not unveil it. They should just bring it. Now. Don't unveil and fanfare. Now, please, just bring it out now because... it's not easy. Why school heads want to be named principals? When they say head of school and principal, do you feel different?
It sounds and feels different.
Headmaster.
But let me just mention in passing, Trump is not the first president. He is the second president in America's history to have 2 unconsecutive terms. The first one, a gentleman called Stephen Grover Cleveland. So, that was not even the previous century, the century before then. Then he moved into the new century.
Okay.
Wow.
But you thought I would just mention.
Okay.
So alikuwa si mtu wa kwanza.
That's not
but
a problem.
Now, principal and headmaster.
It doesn't make you feel something.
No, it feels principal is more senior to headmaster.
So when somebody says headmaster, you feel lowly. But principal, you feel bakaga.
You feel like now you're a headmaster's headmaster.
But you know who's pushing for this? Principals are normally in high school.
Yes.
Secondary school.
Yes.
Now this primary school teachers, now if you call these things comprehensive school, it makes sense that you call this guy a principal as well.
Okay.
He's managing 3 schools. There's a ECD, there's a primary, and there's junior school.
You know what is of interest?
Even the principal. In fact, we should now demote those other guys who only have 3 years.
Even in our university system.
Those guys in high school.
In our university system, you'll find that somebody who heads a college is also a principal.
Yes.
So why should the primary education system not also have a principal?
Yes.
It's okay. We'll look at the rationale behind it all.
Okay.
Abi?
All right.
On the front page of The Nation, what a Trump win means for Kenya. Who are we but not to localize it?
Yes.
Donald Trump was yesterday elected US president, capping a remarkable triumph 4 years after he was voted out of the White House and ushering in a new American leadership likely to test democratic institutions at home and relations abroad. His victory will no doubt have major implications, but will he upend policies targeting African countries? Read how the Republicans' White House means for Kenya. It should be what, but okay. There's also, stories coming out at that Americans did not vote in Trump, but voted out Biden. Let us see how that all unfolds.
That's just denial.
Jivanji.
When people are in denial,
they'll come up with all manner of reasons to justify that denial.
But guess what? At the end of the day, they'll be all right. Tisha, all right, as they say.
Do let me tell you, there's a group of people in the US who I think we're all going to go into a collective depression.
Yes, now they're already there. People are crying. People are doing things.
Yes, and
they've worn sackcloth and put ashes on their heads.
Yes. Now, what about the intellectual community and those who lean toward being liberals? My friend, they actually can't believe But they'd better believe because he is the president.
Abi?
Faith is difficult.
It's hard though.
Believing, hard. Anyway, please carry on.
Jivanji is no longer public land, says affordable housing developer. Whoa, low. It's a big whoa, low moment.
Big one.
Shopping receipt that uncovered another victim of Islay killer.
All right.
The document proved crucial. It had details that would help investigators uncover the victim's identity. We'll look at that story. Cities laugh because I said Islay. It's Islay.
No, I'm laughing because of the Jivanji story. And I'll tell you why I'm laughing. Just go on.
Okay. Crackdown on medical spas begins after cosmetic surgery death. The government, you see this reaction? The government has declared a 30-day nationwide crackdown on illegal and unethical facilities that are putting the lives of Kenyans at risk.
Okay.
When you go somewhere, you say you went to do spa, then they now start doing lipo and other things. They said, nah, come on. We need to now have a look at these things and make sure that everything is okay. It's all being led by Public Health PS, Mary Muthoni. On the back page of The Nation, that's the Jivanji story. Now, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua yesterday decided to, what's the word they use? I can't remember.
Withdraw.
Thank you. Withdraw.
Say pull out.
I almost did, and then I remembered. Please help yourself, not even anybody else. Where? So he decided to withdraw his case of appeal from the High Court. And let me stop there before I continue.
Okay. Whatever was the tip of my tongue, I withheld it.
The Business Daily. Mbadi spares milk, bread and unga in new tax plan. Okay, we'll see that story. Trump win throws Kenya-US trade talks into doubt. That's the same thing that the Biden win did.
But it's Trump who began the trade talks that we're talking about.
Then Biden came and said, halt that thing, change it.
Yes, he did.
No, maybe we'll just come and continue from where we were and finally we'll get a trade talk.
Yes.
Done. Deal sealed and sorted. Remember when we had a conversation with the US Ambassador Meg Whitman before the presidential state visit, right? And she said towards the end of this year that deal should be concluded. Well, here we are. It's November. The deal between Kenya and America has not been concluded, so maybe. Yeah. Private sector loans growth falls to 0.4%. The growth in lending by banks to the private sector has slowed to a 22-year low of 0.4% in September. Yeah. Kenyan starts Eswatini geothermal survey. Not so that they get geothermal from Eswatini and bring it to us. No.
For Eswatini.
It is for Eswatini. Okay? It's underlining its growing status as the go-to company in developing Africa's steam power capacity. Remember, they also had the same kind of deal with Ethiopia. Mauritius firm moves office to Kenya to get 6 billion shilling SA funding. Mauritius property developer Greer has been compelled to transfer its office to Kenya to access a 6.3 billion shilling investment from South Africa's Public Investment Corporation. You cannot get this money if you're in Mauritius. If you go to Kenya, though, you'll get
get it.
You can get the money. City. What's in the Star?
Top right-hand corner in teal green, the picture of a rather somber-looking President Trump. It says, U.S. election 2024, what Trump's win means for America and the rest of the world. The story is on page 13, okay? Crisis persists at Eldoret University ahead of reopening. This is the education mess. Striking lecturers at the University of Eldoret yesterday carried out protests at the institution, vowing not to resume work until their demands are met by the government. Right.
What?
Abduction. Tragic tale of protesters missing without a trace. PM's 25-year-old brother disappeared on June 26 after taking part in an anti-government protest, and the family does not know whom to turn to. He was a political science student at the university in the city. The family has stopped searching for the vibrant young man, as unknown people have been calling them and issuing threats. This one, anyway. Empowering adolescents. Meet woman on mission to transform Meru girls' lives. Kendi Muthoni strikes a figure of joviality that underscores her successes at the profound impact she has had on the lives of young Meru girls. Concerned by the numerous cases of teen pregnancy and female genital mutilation in the county, Muthoni embarked on a journey to create awareness and inspire the youth. Her mission began during the COVID-19 campaign.
All right.
Now, bang in the middle of the paper, strategy. CS Mbadi cites prudent policies and government-to-government oil plan. Mbadi, this oil plan was there before you got here. So we'll need to understand how this oil plan is better than the other oil plan. Economy. Why the worst is behind us. President Ruto's economic moves pay off. Stronger shilling and lower debt.
Okay.
All right? Debt, shilling is not moving. Trump becomes president, shilling is not moving. Inflation is actually okay. Hard times over as prices fall. Okay? Then the list of price of things which have gone down. Simple reality. If you doubt it, go and check. Sour?
Sour.
Right. There's a newspaper that I always pick, and it is important that I look at the headline, China Daily.
Alrighty.
Trump claims victory, vows to heal nation. This is an admission that the nation was not well, and now he wants to heal it. Win over Harris in U.S. election signals political comeback 4 years after leaving the White House. Okay?
Okay.
Right. BRICS contributing to fairer, balanced global order. This is a story about how recent BRICS activities holding substantial promise for reconfiguring the global order towards a model that values equity, inclusivity, and sustainable progress. Isn't life grand?
Kabisa.
Yes.
The People Daily, Return of the Dawn. Former U.S. President defies odds and rewrites history with a grand comeback to the White House. That is it. Katika taifa leo hii leo, mwanamke azima mazishi ya mbunge. Mipango ya mazishi kusubiri kesi kusikizwa na uamuzi kutolewa. There's a mbunge who's to be buried, and a woman has said,
Sorry. Hold on.
Haya, Gachagua sasa ainua mikono. Mahakama imemruhusu Rigathi Gachagua kuondoa kesi kupinga kutumuliwa kwake. So he's been told pull out, and he has said okay. Harris aingia mitini baada ya kubwagwa. Alikimia baada ya kugundua kuwa hataibuka mshindi katika uchaguzi huo. Alikimia. Okay. Kimia. Aliye na asili ya Kenya ni mbunge US. Anaitwa Hulda Momanyi Hilsi. Ameweka historia kushinda kiti bunge la
Minnesota.
Very good.
Mini amefanya nini?
Minnesota. Aya, tulisema nini? Katikati mwa gazeti. Donald Trump aruka viunzi kadha, ikiwa ni pamoja na msururu wa kesi kotini na kuepuka risasi ya mauaji. Baba yao, that is the headline. Baba yao, with a photo of the Don. The Don. Sitting there with one big. It's the American people. And that's it. Hatutapumzika hadi tuhakikishe kuwa tumeipeleka Amerika mahali ambapo inastahili kuwa. Hivyo ndo baba yao amesema. So bana.
The collective father.
Yes.
Basi.
2027, tell us about the traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Hi everyone. You may have heard about the official Study in Ireland fair happening next month on November 9th. Can you tell us what the students can expect?
Galway, which is the city where the university resides, is known globally as a global hub for the medical technology industry. 8 of the world's top 10 medtech companies are based in the city of Galway. So for that, we have 96% employment success rate for our recent bachelor graduates and 94% employment rate for our recent postgraduate students as well. So come speak to me and find out how to get your application started. Thank you.
That sounds fantastic. So everyone make sure to visit the official Study in Ireland fair at the Gallant Mall, Parklands on November 9th. Make sure to register by visiting www.cradle.com or call 0799 000 444.
I know mko na talents, lakini mko na vibe. It's time to discover East Africa's newest talent. Ni mda wa Kenya kuchachisha. Anguka nayo ka TikToker, utuonyeshe hizi stunts zako. Africa's biggest talent show, Bongo Star Search, is coming to Kenya. Stand a chance to win amazing prizes and work with the biggest names in entertainment. My judges, wakiongozwa na Rita, Master J, Salama Jabir, and our very own Sanaipe Itande, watakuwa pale tukicheka na tukilia. Tulieni mpangwe wasee. From Majenzi hadi Wakoro, students na corporates. Jitokeze tujue nani mzii. Tukutane Kenya National Theatre on Friday 29th and Saturday 30th November. Kosa uchekwe brother. BSS Season 15, sasa Beyond Borders. Si mchezo. Tune in to ST Swahili Channel 160 or 400 every Sunday at 9 p.m. and on Wednesday for an extra highlights show at 8:30 p.m. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Just a little bit of it on the Thika Superhighway today as you come past Survey and then heading out towards Pangani. On Landis Road, not much happening. Getting to the roundabout, Kamkunji, and then getting onto Haile Selassie is where we see most of it happening this morning. The Eastern Bypass looking... Where did everybody go? There's no traffic today. Okay, a little bit of it on Gong Road, getting out towards the city. But then also, let's take a look at Mombasa Road, where the diversion, of course, is there. And then folks are going to... Even there's no traffic. On the ICD route diversion, there's no traffic. Did people leave and they didn't tell us? Are we the only ones here? 5 of us are left. Where is everybody? Have they moved country? Let us know what's happening where you are. SpiceFM KE on X. # The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Aya basi.
So in true fashion, when something happens like a death, then we become reactive.
Yeah.
And it's time to start looking at some of these things which have mushroomed in the last few years. Authorities have declared a 30-day nationwide crackdown on illegal medical spas following a botched cosmetic surgery that led to the death of a woman. Public Health and Professional Standards Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni announced that the raids on unethical facilities putting the lives of Kenyans at risk. This came after the death of Lucy Wambui, 47, which was attributed to a botched liposuction procedure at Omnicare Medical on the 16th of October. In a letter seen by Nation on Monday, the PS instructed Kenya Health Professional Oversight Authority, CEO Dr. Jackson Kioko, to coordinate a thorough assessment of facilities and submit a comprehensive report within 30 days. Okay. The Ministry of Health is concerned about the death of Miss Lucy Wambui, who passed away during a plastic surgery procedure. And so as a result of that concern, they've decided that investigations by the Kenya Medical and Pharmacist Dentist Council revealed serious malpractices and non-compliance with health standards. Chief Government Pathologist Dr. Johansson Odor, who conducted the post-mortem, said that the victim died from acute pneumonia that affected the lungs, likely caused by an untreated bacterial infection and lasted a week. So this was post-procedure. Now, soon after the liposuction procedure, the victim began experiencing complications such as abdominal and chest pains and difficulty breathing. Despite these symptoms and a pneumonia diagnosis, Omnicare Medical discharged Wambui on the 23rd or 22nd. Parapneumonic pleural effusion is a buildup of fluid in the pleural space, the area between the lung lining and the chest cavity. It helps maintain a negative pressure necessary for the lungs to function properly, but this did not happen. He noted that the facilities had also treated her for parapneumonia pleural effusion, most likely caused by a bacterial infection caused from the liposuction. However, upon autopsy, no signs of this effusion were found. He said this is the second time that he's seen a Kenyan die from a botched liposuction procedure. We had a similar case about 10 years ago in a medical spa in Nairobi. Of course, liposuction is the procedure where now fats and such are removed from the body. And so the ministry have decided they're going to go into this crackdown. And it will involve a multi-agency approach. Don't you like that word? Including the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, many people. It's a long list of people.
The crackdown.
Yeah.
Let's move back and ask oversight.
Why should you need a crackdown?
Yes.
If in the very beginning, the people who are licensing these, the people who are making sure that there's quality control, the people who are insisting that we have these facilities that are available in the country, who's making sure over time that they're actually adhering to the set standards and requirements and doing what they ought to do by dint of having a license? Who's doing that?
Yes.
Who's doing it?
No. You see, That council.
Which one? There are many here.
What kind of authority? Council.
The Kenya Medical Pharmacist Dentist Council.
Yes. That council is the one that licenses all doctors and pharmacists in the country.
Yeah.
That council is the one that licenses all health facilities in the country. Sawa? Apart from what? From pharmacies. Pharmacies are now licensed by the Pharmacist Board. Now, the expectation is that the council will be able to uphold the standards by doing regular visits and checks and all those things. When this incident happened, the council was tasked to find out what happened. They went and said, oh, these guys have not been following, upholding high standards. They've been doing things and procedurally this and so on and so forth. And the question then comes, so where were you? Where were you as all these things were happening? Now you're coming to find out now later. Where were you as all happening?
This is the question.
How many other facilities in this country are doing things that they should not be doing or the way they shouldn't be doing them, and the council is in existence? What is the issue? Is the issue that the council is not adequately facilitated to do its job? How many inspectors does the council have? How regularly can it actually just do inspection of all? Because they know the facilities have licensed. They're the ones who license. They know we have 40,000 facilities of various levels, whether it's a health center, a clinic, a hospital, a dispensary, a level 1, 2, whatever, up to level 6. They know all of them. How regularly do they do the inspections? Do they have the adequate manpower and resources to actually do proper inspection?
Do they even have a policy? Because if you license someone, do you just license them until the next time they come for renewal, or do you license them and ensure that they actually adhere to the norms of that licensure? This crackdown thing doesn't work, okay?
It doesn't. It's reactive.
You have something catastrophic happening, then you are crackdown. Surely. And in between?
It doesn't work. And it's the same, you guys, if you want to look at the principle of this matter, it's the same thing across board. That when a building collapses somewhere in the country, crackdown. When a school falls down and children die, crackdown. Send me a report of all the illegal structures in the country. When there's a fire somewhere and then you want to find out, why?
Crackdown. Now remember,
what is wrong with maintaining?
All these institutions have an inspectorate.
Yes.
Okay? Ministry of Education has one. Okay? When it comes to building, we even have an authority that's supposed to regulate these things.
So what happens?
And they're supposed to be an inspector. So you keep asking, what is it that these people actually do?
These people who are supposed to maintain the standards, these ones who are supposed to guarantee quality assurance, these guys who are supposed to make sure that the standards are kept throughout. What have they been doing? And why is it that when we have to wait, because that's what we've done, we have to wait for a death or something tragic to occur before you realize, okay. No, why? So exactly. What do these people who are supposed to guarantee assurance, quality assurance, who are supposed to guarantee that the barest minimum of regulation is kept?
What do they actually
do? What do they do?
Well,
this crackdown will yield nothing, I'm telling you.
Because
call me Debbie Downer, call me what you want. This crackdown, even if it reveals something, there is nothing they're going to do with the information.
Just now, it's moto ya makaratasi.
Nothing.
Moto ya makaratasi. Moto ya makaratasi. You don't even find ashes.
Ashes.
Because they'll be blown away.
Gone by the wind. Or gone with the wind.
No. Both right. By the wind and with the wind.
And to the wind.
And onto the wind.
Do you remember the time when we had this big hoo-ha about cancer? Okay? It followed the passing away of the governor of Bomet at that particular time.
Yes, Leboso.
Yes, it did. And suddenly this was a national issue. Man, did we not talk about it?
It's everywhere.
Did we not talk about it? Was it that thing came, it's gone.
It's around that time that the National Cancer Institute was then established.
Yes, it was. And thereafter?
Thereafter? If you have cancer, you deal with it on your own.
Then the MP Ken Okoh died.
Now that one, now a big zip.
Then the MP for that banana area, Kiamba
also, yes.
Also died.
Yes. This cancer is finishing us. Done. Then, and yet, Cancer is killing people in this country every single
if
day.
you have it on your own,
Yes.
you'll figure it out. Who until if you go to a public center to be treated for cancer, you'll wait until April to be screened.
Okay.
Let's talk about Nairobi and land ownership, okay? So, affordable housing. It's not a new thing. It started in the days of even
Kidero
and Ouru. So they said, let's do this thing. And then they'd say, what we're going to do is we bring in a private contractor. The county provides land. Private contractor comes and builds. And then we sell the houses. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when the county provides land, what happens? Who owns the land? If the county provides land.
The county owns the land. In fact, the equity that was provided for this supposed PPP is that the county brings land. That is their contribution to that process.
Yes.
Remember,
and then developer brings what?
Expertise, money, builds.
Yes.
That's it. That's the understanding. And remember, if it was the land that housed a former estate belonging to, it was a municipality, then county, the county has a say. It's not as though the developer comes along and then you're in charge of everything. No, it doesn't work that way.
So, there were several things that happened, and we'll look at this story. Initially, in those earlier days, the Kidero days, the idea is, so we are going into a partnership, and this all happens all the time. If you're going into a partnership to build, to develop, so you'll enter into a joint venture. So the joint venture is land and you money. So everything is then run not under separate accounts, but you create one special purpose vehicle for the joint venture.
Yes, that's
right?
what you do.
So you put in land and say this land is here. You put in money and say money is here. Now, in that joint venture, initially in the Kidero days, the joint venture would be like the title is here. The majority owner and controller of the land is the county government. And then the developer is given some rights into the land. Initially, I think it was some 2 or 3% or so, and so on and so forth. At some point, this thing changed. And what happened is that now in the JBV, in the SPV, county brings in land. And the land is 70%, 80% owned by the developer, the land, and 20% owned by the county. The land. Whose land? The county land.
Which means it's public land.
Yeah.
So the public land now suddenly becomes 80% controlled by developer and 20% controlled by the public. So this is what happened now. There's a company that then was contracted, Jabavu Village Limited, to do houses in Jivanji Estate, not Jivanji Gardens, Jivanji Estate, which is in Ngara.
Yes.
Okay. When the SPV was formed and the title was deposited into the SPV, and the controlling stake in the title is the developer took the title. Developer went to the National Bank of Kenya, and developer applied for loan to develop what?
The land.
Based on title.
Yeah, based on title. So developer secures a 1.9 billion shilling loan from the National Bank of Kenya to build the
affordable houses.
Affordable houses. So what is the developer bringing to the table? He's not bringing the money. The money is coming from the title, security from the title. So developer is bringing what?
Himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Builders.
Anyway, so this is what happened. So far, the developer has actually been able to access 450 million shillings of this 1.9 billion shillings. All right? Houses are up somewhere. Zimefika mahali. But 450 billion shilling million shilling has been drawn from the facility with the National Bank of Kenya. What's a guarantee for this facility? The public land.
Yeah.
Are we together?
Yes.
Now this is an issue now. The developer is explaining that the government was to provide land to contractors under the affordable housing project, leading to the Nairobi City County transferring ownership of the land to the SPV that is majority owned by Jabavu Limited. Through its lawyer, Calvin Oira, the property development company explains that the title deed, originally owned by the Nairobi City County government, was transferred in July 2019 to the SPV that's controlled by the developer and the county. Since the title was transferred to the SPV, where Jabavu is an 80% shareholder and Nairobi City County owns 20%, it cannot be said to be public land, truthfully speaking, you know?
Because it's 80%.
Yeah, by the developer. So once the county transferred this thing into the SPV, so their own land is now owned by the SPV. Who controls the SPV? 80% is the developer.
So it's 80% control, not ownership.
It's 80% control of the ownership of the SPV.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Okay.
Ownership of the SPV, 80% ownership of the stake in the SPV is with the developer, 20% is the county. But the land has been brought by the county and it has been now swallowed into the 80% story. So now, and like lawyer Calvin Oire is arguing, can you now say that this is your land?
You can't.
The land belongs to the SPV.
You can't.
And who's the owner of the SPV? It is the developer. Majority. Are we together?
Man.
The shareholding of Jabavu Limited in the SPV is because we had invested funds in the development. That is what Oira explained on Monday during a tour of the project. In the signed agreement, Jabavu claimed 80% of the project, while the county stake is only 20%. In addition, the developer claims that it is not appropriate to consult the Nairobi City County government on how to raise money for the project, including the 1.9 billion shilling loan, because the government was clear that the county was only to provide the land for the project, while the company sources the money. So our job is to look for the money. We don't have to come and ask you, oh, can we use this title? No. See, that's our job. See, kazi yenu ni nyumba, muone nyumba. Kazi yetu ni tulete nyumba. What's the problem? What's the problem? City, one or two things to say. Go.
We live in interesting times. Very interesting time.
Including?
Being in Kenya.
Including being Kenyanese.
Yes. Let me just say it 1 minute. Hard times are over. According to the Star, inflation dropped from 2.7% October 2024 from 6.9% in October 2023. Okay? 2 kilogram maize flour dropped from 127 shillings, dropped to 127 shillings from 170 shillings. 2 kilogram sugar dropped to 255 from 277. 2 kilogram of rice is now 516 shillings from 534 shillings. Shilling is now at 127 against a dollar from a high of 160. The average bank lending rate is 15.5% from an average high of 16.1%. Debt to GBT is now to GDP. GTP. GTB. Debt to GDP now at 66% from 73 last year. Hard times are over. Yes, they will be over if what we are saying.
From here now is we're just going up.
Yes, if what we believe
moving
this.
On up.
Yes.
We'll finally get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, hard times. It was called hard times, was it not?
No, it was called good times.
I think my mind has taken that twist today. The Jefferson. Yes. Unajua, if this persists, then yes, you could say the hard times are over. But for now, it would appear so.
Boy.
Yep.
Yeah, it would appear so.
Boy.
Can I tell you very, very fast? Or you want to say something?
No,
say.
Okay, I want to tell you why. Now, these school heads have decided they don't want to be called school heads anymore. They want to be called what?
Yes.
Principals. If I could find the page.
Not principalities.
Not principalities of
page
power.
12.
Why did it tell me something else? This
Just
page is lying
page 12
to
of
me.
page 12 of.
Yeah, very fast. Why 15,000 primary school heads want to be elevated to principals? They are saying that, you know what? They are saying the title changed to principal, seeing that they oversee 3 schools: pre-primary, primary, and junior secondary. That's what's all ensconced in one. They say that this renaming would grant them more powers and ensure a pay rise reflecting their increased responsibilities. Nancy Macharia, who is the CEO of the TSC, urged the Kenya National Union of Teachers to include this demand in the CBA. So you guys want that thing? There's a CBA that's coming to an end and there's a new one coming. Where can Nani? We'll see what we can do about it. And make sure that this can be, because it makes sense. You're now overseeing 3 schools. We can't just be calling you a
3
school
schools
head.
in one.
3
You're
in
not a
one.
headmaster.
Not a headmaster.
A principal. Principal. And so the title principal is not just a title. Alikuja na kikiri yake. Kuna kabahasha. Yeah.
Kuna kijiko yake.
Yes, surely.
Why don't you just add a plate while you're at
Mungu akileta principle. Anakuja na sahani yake. 7 a.m. News time.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga, and as KCSE exams continue across the nation, candidates will be taking their Kiswahili Paper 2 examination this morning and Insha in the afternoon. Basic Education PS Belioki exam has, however, raised concern over the increased number of expectant candidates who've sought for the exams this week.
There are quite a number of our girls who are doing examinations in hospitals. I think the first day we had almost 27 of them, which is quite a high number. And we are trying to see across the country, we are trying to see how to ensure there could be a few of those cases anyway who may not be necessarily out of teenage pregnancies, because there could be a few of them who may have been admitted for other reasons. But generally we saw that that number of young girls doing their exams because of delivery, we could see compared it to 2023, it was slightly above the 2023 cases that we saw on the first day of examination.
He has further called on parents and guardians to intervene in the predicament in order to ensure such cases go down come next year.
And therefore, we would want to urge our parents to be more closer to their children so that they can be able to support them in terms of ensuring that they get an opportunity to learn without any disruptions of their lives. We also want to urge our teachers, the guidance and counseling, the teams that work with our children, so that they can be able to socialize them better in ways in which they can avoid some of these circumstances and situations that they find themselves in.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says the government is considering bypassing Finance Bill 2025-2026. Mbadi, who spoke during a local TV station interview, revealed that his ministry was contemplating avoiding another finance bill before the implementation of the current one, so that it does continue unburdening Kenyans. According to the CS, the Treasury's policy of upholding the principle of taxes as predictable and certain to taxpayers called for deliberation to strike a balance in ensuring revenue collection is fair to all Kenyans.
We will not be making many changes to our tax laws. As a matter of fact, we are even discussing at the Treasury whether next year we should just avoid bringing anything called finance bill at all. So, but there are certain unfair imbalance between taxes that we must correct, where some people pay tax and others don't. I don't think anyone in this room would be happy if they pay tax and others don't pay tax.
Mbadi argues that the current Finance Act advocates for an increased tax base by ensuring that all Kenyans remit their tax dues fairly. He said that the ministry had laid proposals to ensure all citizens who currently are not included in the tax bracket are brought in and pay their taxes responsibly in order for the government to reduce taxation without affecting revenue collection.
The amendments that we are bringing, in fact, a lot of them, the larger percentage is to help make life easy for Kenyans. It is not even to yield tax. But there are some which would yield tax. These ones we are bringing because of fairness in taxation. We want every Kenyan to pay their fair share of tax.
U.S. presidential candidate Kamala Harris called Trump to congratulate him on his victory as she spoke of the importance of the peaceful transfer of power in being a president for the whole country. In her concession speech at Howard University, the former vice president also said that while she concedes the election, she does not concede the fight that fueled her campaign.
To the young people who are watching, it is... I love you. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed. but please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win.
President-elect of the United States, Donald Trump, on his part, has promised that his administration will strengthen the economy and make Americans a priority in every step.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good.
That's the news wire. I'm Lydiah Obaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, clicking into traffic hour. It's a few minutes after 7 o'clock. Let's take a look at what's going on the streets today. And it's busy on the Eastern Bypass. As you come then towards North Airport Road, it's also starting to get busier on Jogo Road, heading out towards Landis. We'll see some traffic building significantly on the Thika Superhighway, coming in from Garden City area, heading out towards the CBD. As you're coming out of Westlands, not too much of an issue here. And we're all right on James Gishuru. Somehow, some magic will happen after 7:30 and it will be closed. So now is the time to move if you need to. Everything else is coming along swimmingly. Keeping an eye on things and see what happens as we get through into traffic hour. Keep us abreast of what's going on in your neck of the woods. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. # The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's 7 minutes after 7. How are you doing? Good morning and welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. It's 7 minutes on the 7th.
7:07.
Yeah, on the 7th day of November 2024. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. We're living well, Sindio.
Yes, we are.
Yeah? You know, we've been talking about the bank that was voted as the best bank for private banking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one that says, if you want to come and put your money in a bank, the best bank to put your money in as a banker is, as an individual, is
Stanbic.
Right. Why?
Voted Kenya's best private bank, and looking at how you can bank in a way that is seamless and how you can enjoy the many elements that come along with that. So we've looked at banking easily, we've looked at banking joyfully, and today we're looking at building a legacy. So what are the things that you can do with your money? Where can you put it? Where can you place it to make sure that you are actually building a legacy for yourself? Standard gives you those options, whereby it's making sure that you can have seamless banking, all your transactions in one place if you need them to be, and making sure really that you can build something for yourself in the future. With your hard-earned cash, where are you going to put it? There are people who are going to be there to be able to walk you through the journey of where you can actually place your funds that will actually give you the best results and give you the best yield in terms of that investment. So it is building a legacy with Kenya's #1 private bank.
Okay. We also talk about where else to put your money, and you're thinking about retirement. You're young, you're getting older, you're thinking, okay, retirement is very far. Yeah, it's far, yeah, but it'll come. Or you're looking at, you're in your 50s, you're looking about retirement is actually coming. Where do you take your money for retirement? You put it at the Taifa Pension Fund. And we've been talking about it, www.taifapensionfund.com. Taifa Pension Fund. I got it.
Well done.
Taifa Pension Fund. What is it? It is an umbrella pension scheme designed for employers, defined contribution pension fund managed by Kenya's largest administrator of pension funds, CPF Financial Services. It accepts NSSF Tier 2 statutory contributions and promises a wide range of benefits to both employers and employees. What are the benefits to the employer? Let me tell you. Cost savings. In addition to saving for retirement, members of Taifa Pension Fund enjoy group life cover. You have last expense cover. You have chronic illness benefit and permanent total disability benefit at a subsidized cost. That is number one. It's very easy to onboard into the Taifa Pension Fund as an employer. It takes just one business day to transfer an employer's retirement scheme to the Taifa Pension Fund. Our online portal and 24/7 customer support make the process seamless. Why else? Optimal returns, a diversified investment portfolio, years of investment experience. The fund promises optimal returns to members. Now, what else are you thinking about? Okay, you're an employer. Go to Taifa Pension Fund. You're an employee. Tell your employer, put my money in Taifa Pension Fund. Yes? That is where we are putting money. Okay, where are we putting our infrastructure? Public-private partnerships. People have absolutely have conversations about PPPs, public-private partnership. It is public. It is privatization. It is partnership. It is private privatization. Public procurement. PPP, public procurement proposal. PIP, public investment proposal. Privately initiated partnership. What are those? What are those things? Very much confusion. The Director General of the Public-Private Partnership Directorate in the National Treasury is Christopher Kiregwa, and he's our guest. Christopher, good morning.
Good mornings.
How are you doing?
Good, very good. Thank you for having me today.
Very good.
Thank
Keeping
you.
well?
Very well.
We're going to talk a lot about PPPs, just seeking to understand PPPs from you guys who actually handle PPPs. But before we get there, City will welcome you with the day's proverb. But before he does, we saw announcements a couple of months ago that you have been appointed as an ambassador.
Yes, my friend.
So why are you still here? Why are you still doing PPPs?
We're on the route. We're en route to Washington. There were a few hitches towards the end in terms of contracting, but I think we've got into a settlement. Within the next 10 days, I should be on the way to Washington.
Did you hear they have a new president?
Yes, I had. It was an interesting day yesterday.
Just checking.
So what is your role for those who have been living under a rock? What's your role coming in the next 10 days?
In Washington?
Yes.
So I'll be the Deputy Chief of Mission in Washington, D.C., and also I've been asked to lead the National Treasury as a Chief Representative of the National Treasury in Washington.
So you'll be dealing with those Bretton Woods institutions.
Indeed.
Okoh.
Indeed.
All right.
To scale up financing for Kenya.
Very
and
good.
also investments.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
City?
Yes.
The proverb.
Very good. Our proverbs for this week are from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay.
Moving forward, our proverbs will be from Africa south of the Sahara. A message from a dead man is poison for the one who doesn't respect it.
A message from a dead man is poison to the one who doesn't respect it.
Yes.
What's your interpretation of this one?
It's interesting. I'll change the dead man to an angel. When the angels speak to you and you do not listen, be wary of the outcome. Yeah. So I'll say it's critical to listen to the silent voices that are sent to you. Yeah, to ensure that you don't miss the bigger picture. What's your thought?
Perfect. I cannot add to what you've said because it is absolutely true.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Listen to the small little voices. And those ones are usually on the left side. The one on the right.
Those are the crazies.
Sondo, I listen to you.
Please, let's stick with that.
Agreed.
Nice one. Nice one.
City Pole.
Don't even.
Oh, no. By the way,
I will listen to her.
It is actually wise for you to listen to her. Yes.
And so you listen to him.
No, so I will listen to you because I know you've listened to her. And Eric will listen to all of us.
Yes. So now, the Directorate of PPPs at the National Treasury, it was established a couple of years ago. We heard of your appointment and we've heard of PPPs. What are PPPs? What is a PPP and what is not PPP?
Okay, a PPP it's a framework. It's a framework to scale up investments, public investments. Generally, if a state has a lot of money, a state is very rich, for example, like Saudi Arabia, you don't need PPPs because you can just go build infrastructure. You've got enough resources to do the investment that you require in a country. However, knowing that the environment we play in Kenya, and not just Kenya actually, because you look at Saudi Arabia, as I've just talked about, they're now looking to get also into PPPs, which was not the case in the past because of the limited resources which are available. In Kenya, PPPs actually, I'll say this, they did not start 3 years ago when I started. You just had more noise about PPPs and you got to understand more PPPs, obviously, when we changed the legislative framework in 2020. However, PPPs have been there in Kenya since 2009. The only challenge that you had is nothing got implemented. There were no projects that got implemented until actually between 2009 and 2020. Only one project had been implemented. I'm not sure you're going to rate that as success. But clearly, in about 10 years, having one project, it was not working.
One implemented. How many signed?
There was one other that was signed, but we ended up having to cancel it.
Okay.
Yeah, which was the Nakuru Summit road. So PPPs is a framework to enable that private sector to come support government in a framework whereby both parties win. Yeah, to develop public infrastructure. Now, PPPs require the projects have to have commercial viability. Yeah, because the private sector, they're not coming to build these projects because they love our country. They're coming to these projects purely to make money. Yeah. Now, what is the role of the directorate and what is the role of government? The role of government is to ensure that these projects are done at an affordable rate. They bring value for money. And also a very critical portion is to ensure the environmental social impact analysis of each project is well captured. Yeah, that is actually a much better approach even compared to the normal public procurement. Most PPPs actually require to access funding from commercial banks. And actually that's over 99% of all PPPs have to access money from commercial banks, and commercial banks ensure that the ESIA, which is environmental social impact analysis, are done as per Equator principles, which was a set of rules which was set by very many international banks and also IFC to set up the standards of what is expected on each project, especially to ensure that the social acceptability and you mitigate any environmental impacts each project brings to the table.
Okay, so this private sector company is coming into a PPP and looking at commercial viability. It wants to make its money back. What does it bring to the table?
So the private companies actually bring the capital.
So they bring the money.
They bring the money.
Okay.
Yeah. So the private. Okay, this is what happens on a typical PPP. The priorities of the PPP are set by the government, not by the private sector. So we come up and select the projects we want to do as a government, and list those projects, do the feasibility studies. After we do the feasibility studies, send the projects to market and get the private parties to participate. So the private parties bring in the expertise to build the project. They bring the expertise to run the project, and they also bring to the table the financing for the vehicles to build the infrastructure.
So then, by design, a PPP contractor, shall we call them contractor or partner?
Partner is better.
So a PPP partner will run this thing.
Absolutely.
They'll build it. They'll have to run it, and during that running period is when they're recouping their investment.
Absolutely.
And by charging the public for using the infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. You mentioned that they have to use commercial banks, for example. That would give the illusion that they're getting money from a local entity. But you've also said that this private party who comes at the end of this brings their own funds. So how does the commercial bank, I'm assuming it's a local one, how does that come into play in this whole process?
Thanks. Very good question, and Ndu. What happens on each PPP, the private party goes to raise, there's an equity portion where they bring their own money, which is actually hard cash they bring in from their accounts, which is normally about 30%, and they finance 70% from banks. Yeah. So the banks are normally commercial banks, but what we do as a treasury, we ensure that the private party gets the most affordable financing available. In some cases, we also facilitate bringing them blended finance, like working with partners like Muga, which is part of the World Bank, who will help the private sector lower the cost of financing and also get extended tenures to make the projects more affordable.
Okay.
So it's not local bank?
Actually, the preference should always be local banks. And the reason being, you ensure that the financing is done mostly in local currency. So you do not transfer exchange rate risks to the consumers.
Okay. So 70% of that is now the loan.
Yes.
And most preferably being sourced from a bank or a consortium of banks locally.
Absolutely.
And so that when we're paying, it's all shilling denominated.
Absolutely.
Through and through. And the 30% is their equity, is the money that they put in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But the thing I'd like to add to that.
Yes.
We've got a very big challenge, and we've been working actually very well with a number of the local banks to scale them up on project finance, because it's not an area many of them have been focusing on. Yeah, so you'll see the likes of like the bank you earlier mentioned, like Stanbic. Stanbic has a very good project finance team. So you'll see Stanbic doing a lot of PPP transactions compared to many other local banks.
Okay.
What is it about what is it about project financing that makes it different from the sort of financing that we are used to? Like, we understand the mortgages. You want to buy a house, you want to build a house, that sort of thing, we understand. In essence, I'm asking, this term, project financing, what does it actually mean? Because it seems to be at the heart of the finance that is required for many of these projects. And what we think it is and what it is seem to be different.
Very, very good questions. Let me start. Project financing, you look at the project on a standalone. Yeah, it's similar. So you look at a project and look at the viability. So the project in a standalone basis needs to generate enough cash flows for it to pay for itself. Yeah, a typical loan, like for example, a credit card. Yeah, all they look is it's your pay slip, and they give you a card. In a project finance, for example, you're going to build a road. You need to do traffic studies. The banks need to be comfortable with those studies that you do. Yeah, you need to look at the environmental impact. Right? What are you cutting off trees as you build this road? Yeah. If you're cutting off trees, are you replacing them? Yeah. Equator principles actually require you to do that. Yeah. Now, many private parties will even attempt to avoid some of these things. Yeah. But it's a role of people in roles like mine to ensure that these things are implemented in a proper fashion, and also the contracting authorities.
Right.
Okay, our law and the approach to PPPs. How many ways can a PPP be initiated and contracted according to our law?
To our law. So there are 4 methods of procurement. The first one is a competitive method. The second one is restricted. The third one is direct procurement. And the fourth one is a PIP, which has raised a lot of attention in this country recently.
So let's go by each. Competitive, what does that mean? That we have to advertise and say we want to build a dam in Karimeno, and this dam will serve X number of people, and it'll, and then you're inviting people to bid for it. Yeah.
Yep.
And then what happens? So how do you go through now the process of evaluating?
No. You started the other way around. You first start with a feasibility study.
Okay.
Because we first need to ensure that it has got for a PPP. A PPP is not a social infrastructure. You need to ensure that it's got commercial viability.
Okay.
So there are loads of studies that need to be done to ensure the commercial viability. That when you advertise it, it will attract the level of investments, and investors can see that they can recoup their money in the period set in the concession period. Yeah. So on a competitive process, which is similar to a restricted and also direct procurement. And I'll explain the difference between the three. You start off with a feasibility study, evaluate the project, look at the volumes. Yeah, because many of these things, like for example, if it's a road infrastructure, you look at the traffic volumes that will use the roads. You look at the affordability. Will tolling be, if you're going to toll the road, will people afford 200 shillings on tolling, right? So you look at the entire scope and then look at the environmental impact. Are you going to be cutting through, you're going to be cutting trees, like I said, are you going to be cutting through a national park? Remember the challenges we had with the SGR, but that was not a PPP.
Yeah.
So you look at the various aspects of the road, and once you get a feasibility study and the project is feasible, you go to market. Yeah. But before you go to market, you first the contracting authority. So let's say, for example, it's Kenya. Kenya comes to they run the feasibility study. We support them during the process. They submit it now formally to the directorate. We take it to the committee. The PPP committee reviews it, approves it, or sends it back. Thereafter, when they go to market after they go to market, and we get the responses, we evaluate them. After evaluating those responses, we take them to the PPP committee back again. Thereafter, we approve it for negotiations. It goes for negotiations.
So the negotiations haven't started. There's been two approvals.
Approval first, for the feasibility.
There's approval of the feasibility study, and then you tell the contract, all right, go ahead and advertise.
Absolutely.
And then they receive bids. They bring the bids again to you for approval.
Absolutely.
And so what are you approving at this particular point?
So you receive the bids are evaluated. So the evaluation outcome is approved by the PPP committee. Once that evaluation outcome is approved and the selected preferred bidder is selected, it now goes to
Kenya.
It goes back to Kenya and the PPP directorate for negotiations.
Okay.
So a negotiation is conducted. The negotiation outcome goes back to the committee for approval. Thereafter, the PP committee approves the negotiation outcome and the concession agreement. Then it goes back to Kenya and goes to the AG for concurrence before it's signed off.
So two things here. One is that Kenya did not do the evaluation. It is a PPP committee that's doing the evaluation.
No, it's the evaluation is done through a project. There's a project team between Kenya, various government institutions that come together to evaluate.
So all of them are involved.
Yes.
It's not just one entity, the entity that is involved in evaluating.
No.
So there are others. The directorate is involved, the ministry,
authority,
the contracting authority, and all.
Yeah.
Okay. When you go back now into all those negotiations and then you go to the National Treasury, at what point does the public get to know that this thing is happening?
So during the feasibility study stage, when a project goes through, on the competitive side,
yes,
an ESI is done, environmental social impact analysis. Yeah, the social impact analysis involves stakeholder management and public participation. Yeah, that's on a competitive process. Yeah, so the public gets to know about it, and if you look at the Nakuru Summit, remember the road?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of public participation. Yeah, across the entire corridor. Yeah, during the when the project was going through project evaluation. Yeah.
Okay. This all takes place during competitive. So when you talk about restricted, direct, and PIP, do you have the element of public participation like you do with the competitive process?
So for the other two, restricted and direct, they go through the same process because you start with the feasibility study, which includes the ESIA.
Yeah.
Right. But now when you get to a PIP, now this is the one that gets a bit more complex. Yeah. PIP. So we receive. Actually, let me say this before I joined Treasury. Yeah. My team used to receive PIPs like I'll say you have heard that phrase. When you throw spaghetti on the wall, you see how many can stick.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the arrangement.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone was just throwing a lot of.
Everyone was just PIPs were landing at the directorate all the time.
Eric, you never sent one.
I should have.
These guys have a
too
rock
late.
company.
It's too late. So no, let me we're receiving a lot of PIPs, and so many of them actually don't stick.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, what we did on the 2020 law, we created a project review fee, right? And the reason for that is each PIP comes with a stack of documents which is almost this size. Yeah. So imagine you're having government officials are constantly just reviewing documents, and most of them will not stick on the wall.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was getting back to your question.
So much time spent there.
Yeah. So you're spending a lot of time. So what we did is we created that which deterred many of these PIPs. Yeah. And PIPs, because you have no idea if it's going to go through or not. You do not start with the public participation at the beginning. So you first receive it. If it makes sense, right, through the first level of evaluation, we tell the project company to go now do a proper feasibility study, right, which is called the project development stage. Yeah? During the project development stage, they're also supposed to do ESIA on their own. Right? And what they do is they check the social acceptability. Now, because of the challenges we have faced recently, especially on the transactions, when you look at JKI, especially JKI, yeah? Normally we'll do the feasibility, we'll do the public participation or public accessibility, yeah, during the third stage, yeah, immediately after negotiations, before you award any transaction, right? Now, there's something that we've seen that we can actually improve the process to get much more public acceptance on what we do, is to bring this element that we're planning to take to the third stage to ensure it's completed in the second stage.
Which one?
The public participation.
Okay.
Yeah. So during the feasibility study, when the private sector company is going to do the feasibility study, we have actually strengthened the process, and we want to actually legislate it, that during the second process of evaluation, there's a strong there's a strong environmental social impact analysis is done, which includes a public participation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
One more, then we take a break.
Yeah. You talk about the different processes. So from the outside looking in, and you don't really get to look in really, but just from what you've explained, is that there's so many levels that this thing has to go through. By the time it comes out, one would assume that due diligence has been done, the feasibility studies have been carried out, every check that needs to be made has already been done. So it's worth its weight by the time it comes through the process. And if that is the case, then why do we have such few cases of these projects that have actually been carried out and implemented?
That's actually the best question I've had. Let me say why. It's actually a challenge. This is not a challenge for Kenya. No, let me tell you, including Nigeria.
Of course.
Yeah?
Let's not go there, but okay.
It's all across our lovely continent. When you look at all contracting authorities, 99%, even ministries, the number one preference for them to implement projects is using budget.
Yes, budget.
You want to ask exchequer?
Donor and
Yes.
donors.
Exactly. Donor funding. So where does PPP come in? Bottom.
Yeah.
On the tail, right? So with that in place, this is what. So many people, what do they refer to PPP for implementation? Actually, not the best projects.
Yeah.
So do they have commercial viability?
Maybe not.
Thank you. Majority do not have commercial viability. Now, as you've asked, when very many implemented, if you look at it, remember we talked about the success rate. We had only had between 2009 and 2020 was
one.
Yeah. We've done about 10 now. Yeah, 10 projects.
Huh?
Yeah, 10 projects.
Between 2020 and now?
My friend, we've not been sleeping.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now, let me go here. The fiscal space in Kenya right now has what made now people look at PPPs a bit differently. Yeah. And I would like to give a lot of credit to our CS, our new CS, John Buddy. Yeah. And obviously the PPP committee. Yeah. Because the focus, because right now, if you've got a commercially viable project, and I can give you a number of them that we borrowed actually. So we eat our fiscal space, yeah, on commercially viable projects. And when we go to social projects, like for example, health, hospitals, education. Where's the money to do it?
Iko kwa barabara.
Which was or a very good project, which especially like you look at the ICT sector, a lot of the ICT projects are actually commercially viable on a standalone basis. But you also need to be careful about this on PPPs. Is also on ICT projects. You need to be careful on security projects to ensure how you mitigate data breaches and get
controls.
The controls put in place. Yeah, so that private data does not go into
individual hands.
Individual hands.
Or private companies' hands.
Absolutely.
There's also the other bit of mortgaging the country. PPPs are long term. So this road is owned by Kirego and Company. The other one is owned by City and Eric. The other one is owned by Ndu and Her Royal Highness. For 30 years, 25 years. So does Kenya own anything, Bwana? It's just going. Let's take a break. 25 minutes to 8. The Director General of the Public-Private Partnership Directorate at the National Treasury, Christopher Kiregwa, is our guest this morning. I think this will be the final interview before you move on to Washington. It should be. Don't give it
anybody else.
Why are you refusing me to come back again?
No,
that's a good answer.
That's a good way. That's a very good way. City, this Saturday, people are meeting at the Garland Mall in Parklands.
Yeah.
Between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m.
That's correct.
This is what event?
The Official Study in Ireland Fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And you might ask yourself, why? Why do you want to go to Ireland? Well, choice is up to you, really, but perhaps you need to listen to what is available before you determine what it is you think is your preferred choice. 3 reasons will be given for why you should attend the study in Ireland Fair. Well, one, that fair will give you direct access to top universities. You'll discover Ireland's career opportunities. When it comes to matters of visa, how you actually get there, yes, you will get expert advice on visa requirements and guidance. Now, the thing you also need to do is to understand all these things and to benefit, you need to register. www.cradle.com. Once you register, then you'll receive an invitation. Why? Because entry is by invitation only.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's free. It's not a registration now as you go and pay some money. No. It's free registration.
It is free.
But entry is by invitation only. 24 minutes to 8. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your
I know
day.
mkona talents, lakini mkona vibe. It's time to discover East Africa's newest talent. Ni mda wa Kenya kuchachisha. Anguka nayo kati toka, utuonyeshe hizi stands zako. Africa's biggest talent show, Bongo Star Search, is coming to Kenya. Stand a chance to win amazing prizes and work with the biggest names in entertainment. Majudges, wakiongozwa na Rita, Master J, Salama Jabir, and our very own Sanaipe Itande, watakuwa pale tukicheka na tukilia. Tulieni mpangwe wasee. From majenzi hadi wakoro, ma students na corporates, jitokeze tujue nani mzii. Tukutane Kenya National Theatre on Friday 29th and Saturday 30th November. Kosa uchekwe brother. BSS Season 15, sasa beyond borders. Si mchezo. Tune in to ST Swahili Channel 160 or 400 every Sunday at 9 p.m. and on Wednesday for an extra highlights show at 8:30 p.m. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Hi everyone. You may have heard about the official Study in Ireland Fair happening next month on November 9th. Can you tell us what the students can expect?
Dublin City University is Ireland's university for transformation and enterprise. We currently offer over 60 undergraduate programs and over 40 master's programs. 96% of our graduates are in further employment or further studies within 6 months of graduation. If this sounds interesting to you, please join me to learn more about how you can strengthen your future at DCU. Looking forward to seeing you there.
That sounds fantastic. So everyone make sure to visit the official Study in Ireland Fair at the Gallant Mall, Parklands on November 9th. Make sure to register by visiting www.cradle.com or call 0799 000 444.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Nairobi 16 degrees, highs of 22, and we'll see highs of 23 and lows of 15 in Nakuru. It's sunny through Thursday in Nyeri with highs of 21, and we'll see highs of 22 and lows of 14 in a cloudy Eldoret. 26 and sunny in Mombasa with highs of 31, and we'll see highs of 31 in a mostly cloudy Malindi at 26. Partly sunny at 22 in Kisumu, highs of 29, and 27 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kakamega at 19. Kampala is cloudy at 20, highs of 26, and Dar es Salaam at 26 is mostly sunny with highs of 31. Looking into a partly sunny Johannesburg, 15 degrees, highs of 26 and lows of 13, while Mogadishu at 27 is sunny with highs of 31 and lows of 25. 21 will be the high in a sunny Addis Ababa at 12, while Lagos is cloudy at 26 and highs of 31. We'll see highs of 31 as well in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 24.
Spice up your life.
We are in traffic hour right about now. Traffic is not doing too badly. It's creeping along on Magadi Road as you try to get out towards Langata Road. So that's going to be the situation for a while. Landis Road is busy. And now is when we see more traffic on the Thika Superhighway coming in through towards Survey. We'll be at a bumper-to-bumper situation for a minute. And also, it's starting to build up in this whole Limuru Road area, Kitisuru. And then also coming in from Lower Kabete to Spring Valley. That's starting to build up. Ngongoro is not looking too bad. So the options into the city real quick this morning. The Southern Bypass looking good. And also on the other side of things, let's take a quick look at the Eastern Bypass, which has clogged up significantly. The ICD route, which you'll have to take coming off Mombasa Road, is also starting to slow down just because of the construction. I don't know how much longer it's going to take, but hey, we have to stick with it, don't we? Let's talk SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It is 20 minutes to 8. We have a few minutes to continue our conversation with Christopher Kirigwa, the Director General of PPPs at the National Treasury. Chris, you are a banker by profession. You and money, you understand money like this. Yeah, when you hear money, you can understand it. I'm sure you'll understand when I say Tala, right? And digital lending, and what that means and how that has digital lending and what that has done to a segment of the market. True? Now, here's the thing. Tala has been in the market for 10 years. They started as Mkopo Rahisi. For the last 10 years, they actually now moved into Tala, and they've moved even outside of Kenya. They've gone to the Philippines, they've gone to Mexico, and they're doing very well. 500 million shillings has been lent in the Kenyan market alone in those 10 years, over 500 million shillings. So there are those that have benefited from Tala, and there are those who have heard of Tala. They've had the negative perceptions about the mobile lending segment, and then they're like, this is not for me. Which is why the central bank came in and started regulating these organizations. And also the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner comes in and says, we've got to license you as a data processor and all the others, and you've got to apply for that. So now there's a bit of regulation, which is why the perception of many people that Tala is for, students, young people who just want money and they don't repay, needs to start shifting into actually Tala is for you and I. Tala will come in handy when you and I are thinking about our financial and thinking about our money, just like PPPs and PIPs. And it's one of the ways in which you actually are able to access money. So think Tala, download it today on Google Play Store, and you will be able to enjoy it. It's a simple registration process. As we went to the break, you said since 2009 and 2021 PPP project had been implemented. Since then, you have signed up 10 PPP projects. Let's start with the one. Which one? Do we know it?
The one is lot. It's a road. It's called lot 33, going to Imaroro. It is 91 kilometers road that was done under the annuity program.
Then going to Imaroro Road.
Yeah, it's you remember the annuity program. So the annuity program, there was one that was done. It was not a typical project finance. It was the private party had a very strong balance sheet, so he was able to fund it through corporate lending.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was done.
Okay.
Yeah.
This 10 that we've signed, which ones are they? 10.
There are many. We've got We've just done the defense housing, which you've heard about. We've done another 2 annuity. We've actually had another 2 annuities, but there's a consideration about cancellation of them because of the change of direction at the State Department. We've had 3 power projects. Yeah, we've got we've got this project, Selu, which is the Galana project, which was started off by Twiga. Yeah.
What are those, man? Like, what is the annuity project? What are annuity?
So annuity comes in from the annuity fund. Yeah, so it's the annuity fund. So there are 2 ways you pay for PPP project. It's either through a user base, or so a user base is whereby you create a toll, or you set up a fund structure.
Where the public pays.
Where the public pays, and you create that fund to scale up investment.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of the annuity program, I think it was a very good program when it was initiated. The biggest challenge on PPPs also is financing. Actually, that's where the biggest cost is. So the baseline of every PPP is the EPC cost, yeah, and the engineering, procurement, and construction of a project, which is pretty much like building a house, getting the house together, or a road together. That's the baseline cost. But once you set up the baseline cost, the biggest factor that comes in is the financing cost, and the financing cost can go up to 3 times the cost of the EPC over the depending on the tenure of the concession. Yeah. And before we went to the break, you actually commented on one thing. Are we mortgaging our country, or are we selling our country using PPPs? I'll answer that one directly. The answer is no. Yeah. And there's a big misconception. And actually, I remember the last interview I came here, I started off giving the differential between privatization and PPPs. Yeah. Because everyone sees it as one big family. They're actually they're not even families. They're not even cousins. They're very far apart. Yeah, the privatization is direct sale of public assets. Yeah, so same thing. I've got my phone here. I give it to you for 5K. That's a sale.
And
it becomes yours.
Yes.
Right. So this phone belongs to government. Right. I sell it to Tundu. She looks like a better pair. Sorry, gentlemen. I sell it to Ndu. Government loses it. It becomes this project. I mean, a phone. PPPs doesn't work that way. A PPP, the party runs the infrastructure for a limited period of time.
Okay.
Yeah. In Kenya, currently within the current laws, the maximum period is 30 years. Maximum. That's the outer side. Yeah. But now how do you decide what period you give a concession? Yeah. In the past, I'll say this, and it has happened in many countries. You asked me about which countries have done good PPPs, which have done bad ones. There are very many bad examples. Yeah. And Kenya were at the risk of getting to that place too.
Of bad examples.
And I talked about this last time, and I mentioned to you that if we had concluded the Nakuru Mau Summit road,
would have been bad example.
No, I would have won the most awards because of the project, a very big project implemented in Kenya. However, 7 years later, it would have been classified as the worst PPP project ever implemented in Africa.
Because?
1, affordability. So the cost for a small car was going to cost closely, and I'm using estimates here, not direct numbers. It was costing about, to use one way, 1,500. Now, I can tell you, my relatives don't have that cash. 1,500 to use 175 kilometers and coming back. And then when we go to Shags, what do? We carry shopping.
Yes.
Our relatives want what? Yeah. Some little money left back. Yeah. How many guys have that money?
And you're fueling the car.
Yeah. So I started looking at, and this is where a proper ESIA is so critical. And looking at this was done through
ESIA.
Sorry, once again, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Let me go back. Environmental, social impact analysis.
Okay.
Right? And this was a competitively procured project. This was not a PIP. So many bidders came to the table, right? Now, when we evaluated the project, actually when I joined in, because that was one of the biggest mandates I was given, I was told I needed to close that project in 3 months. In 2 weeks, I looked at the costings, the affordability, 2 weeks. Actually, because I started on December 1st, 2020. Before we broke for Christmas, I were like, hapa kuna shida.
Your report was no.
I don't have that authority to just say no. My advice
your advice was not the best route.
So what would have gotten there? That the feasibility study, that one would assume it was done, but are we saying that to get to the point where you look and say, okay, this was not completed, and if it had been, it would have been the worst project in Africa? Would you point back to the feasibility study and say something was amiss here because they should have been able to project that from the study? So there was a faulty feasibility study done. However, somebody checked it off.
So what happens and on that aspect is, and I can tell you, it's not me. I work jointly with the team that I found there. It's not. There's no Superman I brought from someone or Superwoman. Yeah. So what I gave my team was just the elements they need to look at.
Okay.
Yeah. For us to come up with the proper analysis. Yeah. Now, when you do a feasibility and even when you do a PPP, the private party needs to give you all the components required. Like, for example, you tell me you're going to build a house. Yeah. Give me the BQs. Right. So you make a proper judgment call. Yeah. So when we got the detailed BQ, I can tell you this. I asked that from day one. Unfortunately, we received it a year later. Yeah. We received it a year later. And one of my staff, a very good gentleman, looked at the numbers. You look at cost of cement, it's X times what we supply. The market rate, right? So the affordability was based on the values the private party had quoted. And maybe they were quoting based on that increased additional risks because they were not in Kenya. Yeah. But this is where we add more value and where the law of 2021 brought in much more value, right? In future projects, those BQs need to be sent out to the public.
Okay.
Right? And that's where we scale up local content. Right? And that's one big element that we need to ensure. And we need to drive that public interest whereby people see that, fine, you're going to do this project. Good, you'll do it. But you also
you're sourced from.
But show people, show the Kenyans, these are the costings, right? These are the costings. I can now tell people that if you're selling cement for, let's say, 10,000 shillings, the market value is 5,000, for example, right?
People
a Kenyan will be willing to supply at 5,500. There's another one for 6,000. So we need to demonstrate this by scaling up local content, but being more transparent and actually pushing the private sector.
Okay.
And to my earlier point, the private sector is coming into this to make money. Yeah. So they will try as hard as possible to make the most
money.
If you've got a weak person on this side, yeah. If you've got a weak person on the government side, and who's not able to analyze these projects properly, yeah, you end up losing.
You would lose.
Yeah, and I'll give an example of a project that we've done. It's not the best example. It's like the airport. The EPC, we demanded it has to be done competitively.
What's that?
The procurement of the contractor, right? Normally, they would a private party will come in and tell you, we'll come with our own contractor. Yeah. So do you know what they do? They buff up a top up at the beginning. Yeah. So if I tell you I'm going to bid for the contractor, because you just share the BQs, the designs and everything, and you show all parties, this is a project. What happens is, if the project was estimated to be, let's say, $1 billion, yeah, you'll end up getting the best deal from all parties.
Yeah.
Then secondly, the second level that we've enhanced is whoever wins also demonstrate those BQs.
Okay.
Yeah, to see how we can get real local content, not briefcase local content, but proper local content, into projects.
So, I mean, as uncomfortable as it is, Christopher, we cannot run away from this next part of the conversation, which is that when we hear things like this from the public, speculation is what is used to fill a vacuum. Now, whether it is a competitive, whether it is direct, whether it is restricted, or whether it is a PIP, there's information that needs to come to the public because a lot of these projects end up in public use, public consumption, for public. And you talk about
public ends up paying for it.
Absolutely. You know, the loan, whatever it is, the usage is going to be paid by public. So public want to be aware of what is going on, right? There have also been claims of these projects and these partnerships being conduits for corruption, conduits for theft, conduits for off-color behavior. And that a lot of these things will be hidden in these reams and reams of paperwork that you discuss. How then do you ensure, or what are methods, mechanisms used to ensure, I mean, if it's already done, that's too late, but to ensure that this theft, this corruption is either kept at bay or expunged completely?
Very good questions. Okay, and good points that you brought up. I think there are lessons learned. I'll start from that. And you look at the recent projects that have brought a lot of public scrutiny. Yeah. So there are methods we're going to do to ensure that, especially moving forward, right? That first, number one, let me say this: we list down the projects on our website. Yeah, but is that good enough?
No.
Thank you, because who goes to the website?
How many people even know about the website?
What is the address?
So we do have we list it out on our website, but also what we're going to do, also what we're engaging also with Parliament is how we involve them much more, so that you get more public awareness at an early stage. Yeah, so that's one aspect. So public involvement moving forward is something that obviously that has come up. Yeah, could it have been done better? The answer is absolutely yes. I'm not going to put that below the carpet. Yeah. The second question about corruption, theft, and all that. Yeah. There are many things I'm good at. Financing. What do you call this? Now, matters of corruption. There's a lot of noise about their deals, side deals on projects and all that. That's an area we have avoided. Yeah, in terms of the discipline. Actually, we have a code of conduct in PPP. Yeah, similar like we had in Standard. Yeah, so our practice and behaviors. This comes in with individuals. Yeah, you cannot control everyone. Yeah, but within your space, as long as you create a proper governance structure. Yeah. Now, there are ways you can pick up whereby costs of projects are escalated. Yeah, there are methods you can pick up that, and you leverage on industry best practice. Yeah, we used to have a platform. It was an infrastructure. It was something like infrastructure core, some website that we used to use, where you look at benchmark projects, right, and see that if this you're doing a 10 million passenger airport. Where else has a 10 million passenger airport been done elsewhere in the world? Yeah. That gives you a global benchmark to ensure that you see that are we paying a very rich price? Yeah. And you look at Nakuru Summit. Yeah. We're able to pick that up. Yeah, from the beginning.
Allow me to interject, because here there's something you mentioned. For example, some of these projects are going to use cement. You know the local cost of a bag of cement. One would assume that you're going to be using very many of these bags of cement, so the likelihood of the cost coming down would be great. Why then, in these studies, would you then say that if the cost of a bag of cement is 700 shillings, for example, just as an example, why would you allow in the study for to say that the cost of this same bag of cement, for example, is 2,000 shillings? Why would you?
No, the study
why would you do that?
The study will not say that. The study will actually give you a realistic ballpark figure of the project, right? Now, what happens is the private sector now goes and does they do the analysis and they come in and bid, right? So you get their bids, but normally when they send their bids, they put in a top up on top of that. But now for us, we look at
why the top up,
the markup to make profits. They will attempt as possible. In any blind side you have
to make as much money as
possible. My role is to ensure that they make a reasonable return. Not a maximum return. The agenda is to make a maximum return, and by the way, the government's agenda this is a global practice, is for the investor to make no return. So your divergent views are like this.
Yes.
Yeah, the private sector, the government wants, You make 0, this guy wants you to make 100. Yeah. So the thing here is you ensure that the investor makes just a reasonable return, and when they make their return, that's why now we come in and agree on the concession period. Yeah. So any investor will come in, even if a project is, let's say, 5 years, they'll attempt to get how many years?
30.
The maximum. Absolutely. So you get 30, and I mean, you get your money back in 5, get the 30, right? What's my job? To ensure that you get to
come 5
to your 5 years.
So is Adani above board, the Ketraco one?
Adani Ketraco?
Yes.
We've done, I can say this. The proposal initially came in at about $900 billion. The team who did the negotiations have landed at about $700 million. There's still some engagements on the transaction. The matter has gone to court. Yeah, it's been taken to court and allow the court process to go in. I don't want to touch on matters above my...
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you very much for joining us, for coming for this conversation. Well, before you go to Washington, come again.
With your invite.
There will be very many questions even now and into the next coming days as people watch this interview. So come and respond to those.
Absolutely. I'll be more than happy to come here. And thank you very much for having me here today. Thank you.
Christopher Kirigwa is the Director General of the Public-Private Partnership Directorate, the National Treasury. It's 8 a.m. news time.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Former police spokesperson Charles Owino has refuted claims that police officers are behind the abductions and kidnappings in the country. Owino says that this has been proven by the fact that police have been able to arrest individuals behind the abductions and murders in a very short time. He cited the example of the arrests made on murdered Wells Fargo human resource manager Willis Ayeko.
And police has done super good jobs. My good friend, the late Willis Ayeko, was just killed the other day. I'm happy that despite the rumors and many things people were trying to divert, the police have been able to catch up with the criminals. Unfortunately, one of them or two lost their lives because they could not surrender, but firearms were recovered from them. Police is doing quite a lot of work. And in 2004, we came up with a strategic plan for the police where we wanted to... The issue of IPOA, the Independent Civilian Oversight Authority, was not imposed on the police. If you look at their strategic plan 2004-2008, it was something that we recommended, that we wanted to have a civilian oversight because we were faced with a lot of challenges.
And the National Council of Churches of Kenya has blamed the government for failing to address challenges being faced by patients across government hospitals due to the transition from NHIF to SHA. Led by Mumias, its chairman, Eli Wahutu, they say there is need for the health sector to consider using the previous health insurance system even as the transition continues.
Tungependa kuhimiza serikali warudishe NHIF, alafu hii SHIF iingizwe polepole, hata ikichukua mwaka mmoja si mbaya, kwa sababu wananchi wanakufa. Hata sisi wenyewe tumejaribu kuenda kwa ofisi za SHA kujaribu kuingiza dependents, inakaa kama wenye wako kwa hizo maofisi pia waelewi hiyo system, wanatutuma kwa cyber na tunaona hiyo si nzuri sana, kwa sababu ugonjwa nao huwezi kungoja. Kwa hivyo turudi kwa NHI na hii SHA ichukue muda, hii transition iwe smooth.
27 expectant candidates have in the past 1 week sat for their KCSE exams either in school or at the hospital. Basic Education PS Belio Kipsang has raised concern over the matter, saying the numbers have increased as compared to last year.
There are quite a number of our girls who are doing examinations in hospitals. I think the first day we had almost 27 of them, which is quite a high number. And we are trying to see across the country, we are trying to see how to ensure there could be a few of those cases anyway who may not be necessarily out of teenage pregnancies, because there could be a few of them who may have been admitted for other reasons. But generally we saw that that number of young girls doing their exams because of delivery, we could see compared it to 2023, it was slightly above the 2023 cases that we saw on the first day of examination.
He has further called on parents and guardians to intervene and guide their children in such matters, saying that they affect their results and life in one way or another.
And therefore, we would want to urge our parents to be more closer to their children so that they can be able to support them in terms of ensuring that they get an opportunity to learn without any disruptions of their lives. We also want to urge our teachers, the guidance and counseling, the teams that work with our children so that they can be able to socialize them better in ways in which they can avoid some of these circumstances and situations that they find themselves in.
KCSE enters day 4 today, and candidates will be sitting for their Kiswahili paper 2 examination this morning and Insha in the afternoon. 2 candidates and 10 teachers have so far been arrested this week for exam malpractice. And finally, 15,000 kilograms of rice that's unfit for human consumption has been seized at a warehouse in Embakasi, Nairobi. Kenya Bureau of Standards officials are still investigating the matter, even after the owner of the product said that the rice had not been released to the public.
How is this? Is it counterfeit? Did anyone complain? Is it expired? It's not expired. We purchased legally. We paid for it. And then we are sitting on it. We found it. The rice looks bad. We asked them to collect it back and then replace with a good rice. Now they want to carry with the rice. Now public health and then KEBS and counterfeit, all 3 have got different views on this rice.
That's the news wire. I'm Lydiah Ubaga.
All right, a few minutes after 8 o'clock. What's traffic looking like where you are? Are you coming off the Eastern Bypass? There's a lot of traffic there, as you'll see. It's bumper to bumper through towards North Airport Road. And off of Mombasa Road at the ICD turn-off, you will have to use that route because, construction continues. All right, what else are we looking at? Traffic coming off Kangunda Road. That started very early this morning. Outer Ring is not looking too bad, actually, from the Thika Superhighway at the Allsop stage all the way out through towards North Airport Road. That looks good. The Thika Superhighway then from Survey through towards the CBD is bumper to bumper. That's going to be slow for a while. Traffic then coming off of Lower Kabete out through Spring Valley, and then also on Limuru Road is quite busy as well. We're looking at traffic still busy in the CBD. Langata Road busy, very busy into traffic hour. Shall we talk? Let's do it. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside. Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping out.
You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talamu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8 minutes past 8 on this 7th day of November 2024. Welcome to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the Situation Room with Eric Latiff, Okoh, CT, Muga. CT, there are several universities in Ireland.
Yes.
Just mention a few and those that will be participating in this Saturday's Study in Ireland Fair.
Griffith College, University.
Griffith College.
Galway, University, Ndu's favorite, University of Limerick, Dublin City University, Technological University of the Shannon, Independent College, University College Cork.
Okay.
Yes.
Hizo zote.
Very
good. And now, what we are saying is that this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., the representatives from these universities will be at the Gallant Mall in Parklands.
Yes.
Right? For the Study in Ireland Fair. How do you register to attend it?
Well, you simply need to go to www.cradle.com.
Cradle.com.
That's it.
That's it.
That gives you the gateway to registering, because entry to this particular fair is by invitation only.
Fantastic.
And to get the invitation, you need to register.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. Ndu. So if you're thinking about banking and you want, to live the soft life.
Yes.
With banking. No stress in this world. Where do you go?
You go to Stanbic. It's Kenya's #1 private bank. We looked at banking easily. We looked at banking joyfully. And now, today, because of Stanbic, we're looking at leaving a legacy. What are the different things that you can do? There is wealth management expertise up for grabs for you, in-depth investment insights. That's what we talk about, leaving a legacy, isn't it? That you can put your money in a place where it can actually give you something to bank on. See? In the future. Local and offshore investment opportunities, equities and bonds online trading, diversifying your portfolio, not just putting all your eggs in one basket, literally, but then being able to show you the different places that you can put your money and actually grow your wealth. Also, talking about competitive saving and deposit rates. These are all the things that Stanbic has to offer for you and can be done for you in a place of comfortability. There is no better time than to get in touch with Kenya's #1 private bank so that you can leave a legacy.
Yep. Keep listening to us. We'll tell you how you can win 25,000 shillings into your Stanbic account. And we'll be telling you about that in coming days. Now, we saw just this week the Supreme Council of... the Supreme Court of the Republic of Kenya was marking 12 years since it was first established. So the Constitution says we have a judiciary, it's going to be a robust judiciary, and the apex court in Kenya is going to be the Supreme Court. And it even says how many judges sit in the Supreme Court, and says the leadership of the Supreme Court. The president of the Supreme Court shall be the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, who is the head of the judiciary, who also heads very many things, the chair of the Judicial Service Commission, the chair of the National Council on Administration of Justice, the chair of very many things. The current Chief Justice is Her Ladyship Martha Koome, and she's our guest. Good morning, Chief Justice.
Good morning, Latiff.
Welcome back to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a while. We cooled it down for you.
I don't know whether you cooled it down or you heated it for me.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
It's good to see you. And as we're going to talk about the Supreme Court and the 12 years of the Supreme Court, what it has achieved, is it defending the Constitution, what's it meant to do, and is it doing exactly that? But first, CT will welcome you with the day's proverb. This week, he's in countries south of the Sahara.
Yes, I am. Yeah. And the specific country that we are mining proverbs from is the Democratic Republic of
Congo.
Yes, I was going to say du Congo, because that is the French way of looking at it. DRC. Yes, a very populous country, 109 million people.
Wow.
And counting.
As at the last count.
Yes. They have lost very many of their citizens due to wars. The last one cost them 5.4 million people died. That's how terrible wars can be. The proverb: a message from a dead man is poison for the one who doesn't respect it. A message from a dead man is poison for the one who doesn't respect it.
Madam Sigei, what do you think this proverb is saying?
It sounds like a curse.
You think so?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But
so what's the lesson here? A message from a dead man.
Is poison. To one who doesn't respect it.
Yeah.
Yes, which means we must always respect what the dead have said. Otherwise, it becomes a curse. But that's a tough country.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You see, if we talk about, for instance, the constitution we currently have, in 30 years from now, we'll still have this constitution may have been changed. The people who are behind that constitution will be dead. Now, those dead people spoke to that constitution and they ushered it in. And for a very good reason. To understand it better, just look at the Americans who just had an election. And they have a constitution we keep talking about. The people who crafted it and started that constitution are all dead. But the constitution
is alive.
It's alive.
Precisely. It's a living document. And speaking. Now, if you ignore what it is telling you,
Krisha.
And that's where you're right. It becomes like a curse.
A curse.
CJ, the Constitution of Kenya establishes the Supreme Court of Kenya, right? What is the job that the Supreme Court is given by the Constitution?
It is clearly set out in the Constitution. The Supreme Court is the apex court in the sense that it determines certain matters that are defined in the Constitution to their logical conclusion, brings them to a logical conclusion. The presidential election dispute, appeals that involve the interpretation and application of the Constitution, matters that have been certified as raising general public interests, and, issues to do with devolution, especially advisory opinions that are brought to the Supreme Court. So those are the jurisdictions that are given by the Constitution to the Supreme Court, including, of course, an appeal arising out of a decision of a tribunal to remove a judge. And one jurisdiction we have never exercised to determine whether there is a state of emergency, a declaration of state of emergency.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if we look at all those, would you say that in the last 12 years, the public has understood the job of the Supreme Court of Kenya?
That's work in progress because the population is transient in the sense that the people who made the Constitution, many of them maybe have transitioned. We have young people who are children when the Constitution was promulgated about 14 years ago. Those who are teenagers now are adults. We have others who are not born, but they are born. They are 14 years. So it's a continuous process of engagement to let Kenyans know what the Constitution says, the institutions that have been created by the Constitution to serve the people, the institutions that have been given power, the sovereign power of the people to serve the people. So it's a continuous engagement, and that is why we felt it was necessary for the Supreme Court to celebrate 12 years so that we can introspect and we can reflect together with Kenyans to see what it is that the Supreme Court has done in the last 12 years, shaping jurisprudence, determining complex issues that bring stability in the law, in the economic setup, in the land issues, in the human rights, in the political landscape. So we have had that conversation involving stakeholders, scholars, lawyers, experts, other jurists, judges, chief justices from other jurisdictions. We had 6 chief justices attend the conference, and I think one of them, the Chief Justice of Liberia, was your honored guest. So it was a very deep conversation to let Kenyans know what the Supreme Court does, because sometimes we are mistaken that we are only seen after 5 years to determine the presidential election dispute. We disappear to nowhere, and then we appear again after 5 years. That's not the case. We are busy throughout the year.
You know, the journey to the 2010 Constitution had very many aspects into it. One of the strongest ones was the fact that the Independence Constitution had been amended so many times. In fact, people had said it had been mutilated. And there are those that say that by establishing the Supreme Court and giving it specifically that mandate to interpret the Constitution, this was the body that was given the job of defending the Constitution, not just the letter of the Constitution, but also the spirit of the Constitution. Has it done that?
We have done that superbly, even according to the verdict of the stakeholders who attended the conference, and they examined deeply the jurisprudence that has been churned by the Supreme Court. The leading case in constitutional reform or amendments is the Building Bridges case, which is still fresh in our minds. You remember there was an attempt, probably by the political class, to amend the Constitution through major amendments of almost over 70 articles were being affected by that move to actually overhaul the Constitution. And you remember the Supreme Court handled that matter, and with the finality brought to an end that attempt to mutilate the Constitution, and even to bring other ways of amending the Constitution which had been proposed, which was being borrowed from other jurisdictions. We were able to examine our Constitution, and they saw that it has an inbuilt system of amendment, and we did not have to bring other theories from other countries to see how to amend our Constitution. It is self-sufficient. If you want to amend it, you just turn into Article 255, 256, and 257. And perhaps what we recommended was that Parliament should enact a law that guides amendment of the Constitution. Much the same way we are in the CKERC when we were amending this Constitution, and we developed even rules and regulations that guided every other step so that there are no missteps in between, and Kenyans are aware what steps to take if they want to amend the Constitution.
Madam Sigei, over the last couple of days, and I think even easily for the last couple of years, when decisions of the court, the Supreme Court, have been made, that what is taken into consideration is jurisprudence. It is the rule of law that is taken into consideration over and above everything else. It is interesting because in conversations with some of the members of the Supreme Court, and I believe one in particular said that, also what is taken into consideration is the prevailing circumstances in country at the time. And how would you say that the Supreme Court has dealt over the past few years? What has been taken into consideration with a number of the rulings that have been made, decisions that have been taken? Is it the rule of law? Or is it the atmosphere in the country, or is there a balance between the two?
The most fundamental consideration and the most central is the rule of law. Because the rule of law is the foundation of everything. Is the foundation of the peace, the tranquility, basically the business. It is the rule of law that is known by everybody. And that is the one that is written, and that is the one that governs the country. So every decision of the Supreme Court is predicated on the rule of law, Principally, the Constitution. What does the Constitution direct and dictate? Then we go to statutory laws. What does the particular statutory law provide? Then within that context, there is also the social context of what is happening. That may have an influence here and there, but majorly is the rule of law, is the interpretation and application of the Constitution, which we cannot remove and which cannot be overtaken by the social context. Whatever is happening in the social context must be premised, must be predicated on the rule of law, because the rule of law is the one that cuts across everybody. Yeah.
What's the process of decision making in the Supreme Court? You're 7 judges, right? So a matter is brought before you, all arguments are brought before you, and then you say, now the court shall retreat to render its decision. What happens at that point? How do you go about that?
Every individual judge has to read the file. If we are sitting 7 of us, the quorum of the court is 5. In the random dairy matters, we deal with 5, a bench of 5. But matters that are bearing significant to the larger public, general public, the matters affecting the nation, we all sit 7 of us. And it's very, very difficult because, that is a very small bench. Doesn't allow a lot of latitude. We wish we were 11, where we could have 2 benches sitting and the CJ being a little released to deal with the Judicial Service Commission and other obligations. I have almost 67 statutory duties to perform under our laws. So it's a very busy office, and being the head of the institution, the administrative end of the institution, you also deal with so many administrative issues. But there we are, 7 of us. So each one of us read the file. We also research on the issues that have been raised in the file before the hearing, because we have a team of law clerks who assist us with the research. So they prepare what we call bench memos for each of the justices that summarizes the case, that puts together the issues. But we read ourselves, and then we have a conference before the hearing of the matter.
Madam CJ. So each judge will have their own set of researchers who will give them their memo.
Yes.
And the memo from researcher A to Judge A may not necessarily be the same, the memo that goes to Judge B.
It may not, because these are different people.
Okay.
Perceiving the matter differently. They are lawyers also. Some of them are quite senior, over 10 years experience. Okay. So before we go to the hearing, we conference. Then we go to the hearing, we hear the matter. Like now, we have been doing it virtually, and the Supreme Court is by way of submissions where counsel or the parties will highlight the issues. So after the hearing, we retreat again for another conference. And sometimes we may conference for days. So it's through the conferencing that we look at the various scenarios, various understandings, various research. We look at the law, and then we agree. Are we agreeing on issue number 1? And all of us will say whether we agree. Issue number 2, issue number 3. If we agree on all of them, then we can have one judgment. But there are times when some of us will say, I agree, but my reasoning is different. Right. But the outcome is the same. That's what we call concurrence. Then we'll have a dissent, somebody who feels that they have a divergent of opinion, and then they can write a dissent. Perhaps not on all the issues, but on the particular issue they dissent on. We were asked, how come we are having unanimous decisions? We tried to write separate judgments during the BBI, And the judgment of the Supreme Court, you can check it. It's over 1,000 pages. It's very difficult to read because 150 pages, 200 pages for each judge. So therefore, if we are unanimous, then, and it's very difficult also because each one of us has to read those 7 opinions. And it takes a lot of time. It can take a year, by the time you read the 7 of them, by the time you see now, like when you're making the final orders, who is agreeing and who is disagreeing, who is dissenting and who is concurring. So the BBI decision taught us a lesson that, unless it's absolutely necessary, if we have agreed on the issues, then we can have one composite judgment. It is easier to follow as a president. It's easier also for the students who follow our judgments. It's easier for the citizenry. It's easier to summarize it and give a media summary.
So in this conferencing, when you do it, how is it? Is it a debate? Do you debate? Or does a judge come and say, this is my thinking about this particular issue, number 1. This is why I think I disagree. And then all of you say, we respect your opinion. Okay. Judge number 2, what do you think, Honorable Justice, or so and so? Is that how you do it?
It's the way we do it. It's like you have been to our conference. We do it in a very orderly, systematic manner.
There's no debate. There's nothing
we
like
begin.
Judge A,
what do you feel? What is your view on this matter? So Judge Hay will explain. I've listened, I have read, I have reflected, and this is what I think. Then go on and say their position. Therefore, I come to the conclusion that this appeal should be dismissed for the reasons that I have given, or this appeal should be around. Then you go to Judge B all the way until now the Chief Justice. I'm always the last to speak. Then, of course, from the conversation, you know whether the appeal is being around or dismissed. I also have my view. Is it going to be around or is it going to be dismissed? And I say my view.
So what's the point of conferencing then?
That's conferencing.
So there's no point for one judge to try and convince the others?
They do.
Is there a point where
they do?
Judge
Because
5,
out of those issues, they will say, for me, I think this appeal is for dismissal. Whereas the other 4 or 5 are thinking this appeal is for allowing. So then that is the point of very serious debate.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
The reason I'm asking
and we may not even end up there. We may adjourn to go and do further research, say do more research on this area. So we need another focused discussion on the area of discussion. We come back for another discussion. Like for BBI, we conference for 2 weeks.
I see. The reason I'm asking that is because, of course, what's in the public domain is how do they arrive at the decisions that they arrive at, right? And are they protecting the Constitution or are they protecting other interests? Or is there influence that comes to the judges in between the entire process of hearing a matter up to the point of making a decision? Is there room for external influence into the decision of even as an individual judge? Is there room for such?
You know, Latiff, you can only ask me whether there has been external influence over me. What happens to other people, you may not know. Would I know what's happening to you, Latiff, in your house, in your private spaces?
Well,
I wouldn't know. But as president, we expect you to know.
Because I have 7 times 2 eyes to see.
We don't care how many you get.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult.
The public expectation
is
that
let me speak for myself. Nobody has ever tried to influence me. As a trial judge, as a judge of the appeal, as a Supreme Court judge, and as the president of the Supreme Court, because I cannot allow, the Constitution does not allow us to be influenced by anybody or any authority. So whoever would be attempting to influence me, I would quickly refer them to the Constitution because it's written there in black and white.
Would you make it public?
But I'm making it public.
If somebody did try to...
I would.
Okay.
I would. And what I would do, like during trial, when I was a trial judge, because you'll be approached through maybe the church, through your merry-go-round women group, and they don't do it directly. What I did was to declare immediately that this is not a position where you can be approached. And if you did approach me, the thing I'll do is expose you, and I will also recuse myself from hearing the matter. So nobody approached me. And I told all my associates, my relatives, my friends, that if you ever speak to me about a case, that is going to be the end of our friendship. Because our friendship is not predicated on my work. My work is separate.
Being your friend is difficult. Huh?
It is. We have just to talk about friendship. Our children, we reminisce of our old days. We reminisce over the nice things we like to do together. It's not predicated on favoring them with a judgment.
If somebody has...
And it cannot be favor. You cannot favor anybody.
We're going on to a break, are we?
Let's take a break, City. Let's take a break, all right? And then continue this conversation. As we take a break, remind everybody why Tala is important.
Well,
as a companion.
Well, it is important because Tala speaks, acts, and functions, and is about money. And we all understand what money does. For us, we all understand how we relate to money. Whether it is something that you want to do and you've planned for, or whether it's an emergency. Tala makes it possible for all these things to happen. Now, all you need to do is go to Google Play and download Tala. When you download Tala, they will provide you with information that you will find suits your needs. So in the event of you requiring money for whatever it is that people require money for, let me repeat, be it an emergency, be it something that is business related, something you do on a daily basis, Tala becomes that trusted friend who will come to you at the time of that specific need.
All right.
Yes.
Time for that break, 24 minutes to 9. Our guest today is the Honorable Chief Justice Martha Koome, Chief Justice of the 15th Chief Justice of the Republic and President of the Supreme Court, among very many other things. We are talking about the Supreme Court today as it commemorates 12 years since the establishment of this Supreme Court.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I know mkona talents, lakini mkona vibe. It's time to discover East Africa's newest talent. Ni muda wa Kenya kuchachisha. Anguka nayo kaa TikToka, utuonyeshe hizi stunts zako. Africa's biggest talent show, Bongo Star Search, is coming to Kenya. Stand a chance to win amazing prizes and work with the biggest names in entertainment. My judges, wakiongozwa na Rita, Master J, Salama Jabir, and our very own Sanaipe Itande, watakuwa pale tukicheka na tukilia. Tulieni mpangwe wasee. From majenzi hadi wakoro, students na corporates, jitokeze tujue nani mzii. Tukutane Kenya National Theatre on Friday 29th and Saturday 30th November. Kosa uchekwe brother. BSS Season 15, sasa Beyond Borders. Si mchezo. Tune in to ST Swahili Channel 160 or 400 every Sunday at 9 p.m. and on Wednesday for an extra highlights show at 8:30 p.m. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Hi everyone. You may have heard about the official Study in Ireland fair happening next month on November 9th. Can you tell us what the students can expect?
TUS is currently offering a €1,000 Sub-Saharan Africa scholarship that is eligible to all our incoming students from the region. There is an additional €3,000 alumni scholarship for all students progressing to first year from our foundation program, giving you a total of €4,000 scholarship from first year till you graduate. 86.9% of our graduates are employed within 9 months of completing their degree. It's such an amazing time at TUS and we look forward to welcoming welcome you. Thank you.
That sounds fantastic. So everyone make sure to visit the official Study in Ireland Fair at the Gallant Mall, Parklands on November 9th. Make sure to register by visiting www.cradle.com or call 0799 000 444.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 17, going to highs of 22. We'll see highs of 23 in a partly sunny Nakuru at 16. Now partly sunny at 18 in Nyeri, highs of 22, and cloudy in Eldoret at 17 to highs of 23. 28 and sunny in Mombasa to highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 32 as well in a mostly sunny Malindi at 29. 24 and partly sunny in Kisumu with highs of 29, while in Kakamega at 21 is cloudy with highs of 27. Kampala 21 is cloudy, highs of 27, and at 27 Dar es Salaam is sunny, going to highs of 31, and we'll see highs of 26 in a partly sunny Johannesburg at 15. Mogadishu at 29 is sunny, going to highs of 31, and at 16 Addis Ababa is sunny with highs of 22. At 25 Lagos sunny, going to highs of 31, and in Kinshasa 24 cloudy, going to highs of 31.
Chilled Spice.
On Uhuru Highway now we see some traffic, also looking onto Waiyaki Way. Not too bad. And the Thika Superhighway, some traffic before Garden City, going towards the Outer Ring Junction, but then after that, survey traffic is starting to dwindle. Kangunda Road has been busy since morning and still continues. A little bit of North Airport Road left as you go towards the Cabanas interchange. Getting onto Mombasa Road, we're still seeing that diversion at ICD route, some traffic there. Traffic hour has not been too chaotic this morning. Hopefully it remains just so. Let's see what happens as we still continue going through it. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Conversation with Her Ladyship Justice Martha Koome, Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court of Kenya. CT, you had a question before you took the break.
Several actually, but let me ask the one which I consider to be most pertinent. What has the Supreme Court done to ensure that the public understand its mandate, its role, and how that affects and influences their lives?
Unfortunately, for judges, we do not communicate the way politicians do at funerals, at religious
church
services, weddings. We communicate through our judgments, but we are trying to set up a communications department that can continuously, now that we are doing things technologically, that can continuously let Kenyans know what Supreme Court does. And I thank SpiceFM, Standard Media and the KTN, because you have been giving us some airtime. Justice Thursday, which comes, I think, after every 2 weeks. Every week, actually, to explain to Kenyans what it is that the judiciary does. How can you access justice in every court, including the Supreme Court? What can you file before the Supreme Court? So we need more engagement with the public, because we are doing a lot for the public. We have what we call the multi-door approach to justice now. You don't have to come to court to resolve your dispute. We have the court annex mediation, whereby you can discuss your matter, enter into an agreement, and we adopt that agreement as the owner of the court. We have the alternative justice system that has incorporated our customary way of resolving disputes. You will recognize that Africa is the depository of knowledge on dispute resolution. every community and a way of resolving their own disputes, which we discarded for the colonial form of justice system. And our justice needs survey has revealed that it's only a very small percentage of Kenyans who can access the formal justice system in the courts. So we resolve our matters in our communities, before the chief, before our religious groups, in the marketplaces, before our nyumba kumi. And therefore, we must connect as a judiciary with those forums where decisions are being resolved every day and adopt a way of working together with those groups. And that's what we are doing under our program of alternative justice system.
You know, when I asked the question,
dispute resolution is very, very important.
Absolutely.
And if this country embraced dispute resolution as a first resort, we would never have gone through all this that we have gone through politically. Because if you look back, you will see that people started with a political dispute, which ended up in the court. The courts have no legal solutions for political disputes, because what we do, we try to make them legal. These political contestations, we try to look for the issues, to look at them through the Constitution or through the Electoral Act. At the apex, people are divided down the line. So whichever decision you make, you will have an equal number that is dissatisfied with that decision. So they end up at the table to negotiate NDR. Then they come up with a solution. Musumkate, handshake, broad-based. If we started there, would we have suffered the kind of bloodshed, the kind of destabilization, property loss, the kind of trauma the country has gone through? So it is important for us Kenyans, first of all, to know we are Africans. We are under a system of resolving disputes, which is restorative, which creates harmony, which leads to a handshake, and people thereafter live in harmony. So this is where we are trying to connect with the public, to understand that the judiciary is a facilitator and a connector. So when we tell you embrace NDR, it's not because we are unable to resolve the problem. It's because we know the courts determine. We don't resolve.
It's a determination.
Yeah, because from there somebody is aggrieved. Then if you have members of the same family, it's a succession matter. You are coming from the same household. You will be divided. Your children will be divided for generations to come. But if you agreed among yourselves and you greeted each other and you brought that agreement and we adopted it as the court, then we become a facilitator, we become a connector. We build harmony, we build unity, we build peace. That's what we are looking for, to connect with Kenyans.
You actually have connected because of the three arms of government. The judiciary in this country is the most trusted of the three arms of government. And as you correctly put it, it is through the judgments, yes. But I look at the transformative nature of what it is that the judiciary has done to try and ensure that Kenyans find ways of resolving the myriad of issues that they have. We have a front row seat here, so we know. It's talked about every Thursday. But there are very many people who don't know, and because they don't know, they can't benefit from something which actually exists. I personally have participated in some court issues that were online, and I was actually fascinated. Now, these are things that didn't
exist
before. They simply didn't. So everything about it is as useful as it is known. The more people know it, the more they will consume it and the more they will benefit from it. And the opposite is, of course, true. Now, my last question to you is, if somebody has a complaint against a judge who is the Supreme Court, where does one take it?
Oh, many places. First of all, if you are aggrieved by the conduct of a judge or a magistrate, we have inbuilt systems and structures of complaints. Judicial Service Commission exists to deal with those complaints. You can file a petition before the Judicial Service Commission if the grievance you have is the one that leads to a removal of a judge. Within the judiciary, we have established a system of dealing with complaints. We call it the Office of the Judiciary Ombudsperson. That office, and it's online, something that we really need to communicate with Kenyans, that the judiciary has gone ahead of the entire government to operate virtually, to have e-filing. So you do not have to walk to the Supreme Court to register your complaint. You can do it online. And we have explained to Kenyans how you can launch your complaint. So it could be a complaint of the judge owes you money. I think that's a civil case. You can also be advised to file a suit, or the judge was disrespectful to you. Is that a matter of misconduct? So that, or whatever complaint it is, it will be handled until resolution. Because of the fair administrative action, the rule of law requires fairness. We cannot mob lynch anybody. If there is a complaint, we must give a chance to the other side to respond. So that is why people think that if they filed a petition against a judge before Judicial Service Commission, they are not seeing results in the next 1 or 2 months, because the complaint will be processed. We will do our own investigations. We will conduct a hearing, and the judge will be given a fair chance to defend themselves, including with a lawyer. Then a decision of the panel will be taken before the whole Judicial Service Commission. We're talking about human rights. We are talking about somebody's livelihood. Then the results will be taken, if they are for setting up a tribunal, to the president to set up a tribunal. Since I've been the Chief Justice, I've seen those processes. I think I'm seeing the 4th one now. Yes.
Chief Justice, I want to look at the interplay between the 3 arms of government. One does not sit in a position of authority over the other. It is assumed that all 3 sit independently, but in the same capacity as forming government: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. Most recently, we have heard from one arm of government today. I believe it was actually at the conference, at the celebration of 12 years of the Supreme Court, where terms such as judicial interference come up, where terms like, warnings to the judiciary about what they can, cannot, or should not do. Where do you sit? Where is your position there when you hear things like judicial interference that should, that in one way or another come against, and I put that in quotes, against the processes that a country would take?
Yes, like you rightly say, Amimo, each of those institutions are independent, and that independence is created by the Constitution. It's none of our creations, and there is every justification for that independence and separation of power. So when the executive or the legislature complains about judicial overreach, we also complain about their overreach. And we defend the independence of the judiciary most vigorously, because judges, magistrates, decision makers, adjudicators, we are supposed to decide the cases independently, the way we see the evidence and the way we see the law. And if they are aggrieved, there are mechanisms of appeal. If you are aggrieved by a decision of the magistrate, please do not verify them at the church, at the funerals, at open places, because we have no way of responding. Appeal to the High Court, and the High Court will correct that mistake. And if the High Court does not correct that mistake, the Court of Appeal will. And if it's a matter that can come to the Supreme Court, all of us cannot make the same mistake.
Chief Justice, do you really think they make those complaints with a desire to have such decisions re-looked at, or do they not sound like warning signals that come out to the public in terms of what the judiciary ought to or ought not to do?
I think to be a judge or an adjudicator, a judicial officer, you need a very thick skin because you should not be listening to what the public is saying, because you will hear many messages depending on the way they want the case to go. It will be either the executive, it will be either the registration, but it will also be the public, the way they would want the case to go. So you must always remain very faithful to the oath of office that requires you to be independent, to be impartial, and to decide a matter without any bias or without any prejudice. In fact, that is the oath of office that reverberates and rings the bell to you all the time, so that so long as you're doing the right thing, you're just interpreting the law and the evidence before you, you're making a determination, then you are a functus officio when that matter comes again, because you decided, let them go on appeal. And the people trying to prosecute their matters in public, they know it is wrong. They know that they are circuiting the system. They are bringing to bear undue pressure on the adjudicators who have a matter live before them. So that is why you heard me say sometimes I don't listen to the news, because you know you don't want to be biased. You want to just remain with your own
truthful
mind.
To the law, and truthful to what has been laid out in law. You know, when again I go back into the spirit of the Constitution and the spirit of our law. In the spirit of the Constitution, it came out into the letter of the law. And people have talked about our Constitution as being an activist Constitution. Just starting from the very top and says it establishes the sovereignty of the people. And then it comes and looks at how the people then exercise that power. They have the power. They establish these institutions and they say the judiciary shall be the one that makes sure that this Constitution lives and continues to breathe. It has established the Bill of Rights, a very progressive one. Article 10 of the Constitution on how we expect that state officers shall behave and how we expect that our relationship with the public shall be. At Chapter 6 of the Constitution, and so on and so forth. And even in areas where decisions that are made shall come from concurrence with the sovereign, and that's the people. So the expectation is that the Supreme Court, that's given that mandate of defending the Constitution, will always be considering, even as you're setting the jurisprudence, it will in the defense of the Constitution primarily. Am I right? Now then, the public perception at present, for example, if you just look at some of the public sentiment, is there's a feeling that the judiciary, the Supreme Court is dropping that ball. That the Supreme Court is looking at matters in terms of what has been presented before it, but forgetting that there is the spirit of the Constitution of Kenya.
The Supreme Court, Eric, has not dropped the ball. The Supreme Court has breathed life and spirit to the Constitution, and we continue to nurture our Constitution and to celebrate it and to uphold it. For instance, the recent case from the Supreme Court on the Finance Act. Unfortunately, many people have not read that decision. They have not even read the media summary. When I saw the debate that was taking place, immediately we rendered that decision. First of all, the discussion was the Supreme Court has disagreed with the Court of Appeal and the High Court. That is wrong. We did not disagree with the High Court. We were in tandem with the High Court. The only dichotomy was with the Court of Appeal, when they declared the entire Finance Act unconstitutional, from the title to the descriptions to everything, to the schedule, to everything. We had, and for the reason that there was no public participation after the second reading of the bill. You remember, Eric, that the Court of Appeal had already established the parameters of public participation in a case which we call PPPs. The Supreme Court had also determined the parameters of public participation, mainly in the BAT case and also the BBI case. Now, when you come the second round and say after that public participation, which was found to be satisfactory, because even the Court of Appeal agreed the first round of public participation was satisfactory, then you move the goalposts and say after the second reading, you must go back to the public. The Finance Act or bill has timelines. It must be completed within 60 days. And we analyze that process, the judgments, and so actually the amendments which were introduced, the 17 or 18 of them, were issues that arose from public participation. And we were able to say, this is what this group said, this is what is contained in this clause. This clause is from this body, this clause is views from this body. So we said that this is the views that came from the people and were incorporated
into the third reading.
In the second reading. In the second reading. Therefore, it was not satisfactory for the Court of Appeal to say they needed to go back to the public participation when the views that were actually added were the views that came from the public participation. However, the Supreme Court went on to emphasize that if there are new issues that are being introduced in the second reading that did not emanate from public participation, then it is necessary for Parliament to formulate a framework of engaging the public even after the second reading. Even if there is a short window, they must have a way of telling the public that these are the new issues that have arisen from the floor, not from public participation, but, from other sources. So we have breathed life and spirit to the Constitution.
Were you satisfied that Parliament did that? In the case of Finance Act 2023.
Satisfied?
That there was nothing that was introduced after the second reading that had not been canvassed during public participation.
We did that, and I invite you, Eric, to read our judgment. Actually, of all the judgments we have rendered in the Supreme Court, this is the judgment that I find very, very sound.
What then would you say to those who feel that you lowered the bar on public participation?
We didn't lower. We even told Parliament and gave guidelines, very detailed guidelines on what constitutes meaningful public participation, and directed them for the time to enact a law that guides the country on public participation, because even them, they don't want to be experiencing this shock all the time. They need a framework. They need to be guided. They need, to settle this issue of public participation. It's almost 14 years, and it's really been a bothersome topic. But we did not lower the bar. We actually increased the bar by saying if you introduce something new, it must go for public participation. And we evaluated what was there, and so it is issues. The 18 issues were raised by the various parties who made submissions, either by written memorandums or by appearing before the committee.
Your Ladyship, you must also address this one. This is at the point of delivering the decision of the Supreme Court on the presidential election petition in 2022. There are those that felt that the court came out with language that was not what is expected of the Supreme Court. Words like hot air, wild goose chase are still painful to many people.
Well, if somebody feels hurt because of the language that you have used, it's always an act of humility to apologize and say, we would apologize to those who felt hurt. But if you read each of the paragraph, it would explain why that was the conclusion. Because if there were allegations that were not supported at all by any evidence, then the conclusion is that, which if it is hurtful, we apologize. But, that is the conclusion we came to after evaluating what was brought to us in a very, very big way. But it turns out that it wasn't what was being arranged.
What should a court like this do? A final question, and we've been given time for the news. It's just asking the final. What would the court? What do you like to see when parties come to court with such kind of matters? For example, they allege, but they do not have substantive evidence, and yet they've taken the court's time, the country's time. Instead of using the word hot air, it's okay. We've taken the apology. But what then would you like to see from parties that do such kind of things?
That's why we have opened what we call the multi-door approach to court. And I think the Bible is very instructive. Before you take your brother to court, reason together. So look at this case which you are bringing to court and see whether it has a leg to stand on or even a hand to hold on to. If it doesn't have, approach your brother and negotiate, mediate, and look for another alternative. Don't come to court because you'll end up more hurt. You end up with a decision that maybe makes you even pay costs. Yes.
Madam Chief Justice, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We look forward to the next one.
Thank you.
Asante sana, and say hello to all our friends, judges.
And thank you so much for the support you have always given the Judiciary to inform the public what the Judiciary does for Kenyans.
Thank you. The Honorable Chief Justice Martha Koome, Chief Justice of the Republic and President of the Supreme Court, has been our guest. It's 5 minutes after 9.
Spice up your life. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Sasa baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
He's the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys and walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. Yeah. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry. Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
it doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
Ben low, nin inte, nin der, ayu markati kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. Sweating is biblical. Good. And you must blame it on Adam, not me. Because Adam messed up and he was told, now you fellow you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Patrick Lodge, Otieno Lumumba. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
CT Muga.
Is he the same man?
Spice.
A lion cannot choose
opposite.
Ukisikiliza na play, unasikia opposite.
The Situation Room. Spice. The only way to start your day.
Busy in the city this morning, still busy on the Thika Superhighway coming out towards the CBD. There is some traffic on Kiambu Road that's going to continue for some time. Waiyaki Way has not been too crazy today. Seeing some traffic also still on Lower Kabete going towards Spring Valley. And let's take a look on the other side of things. Mombasa Road coming through ICD, that route, some traffic. There's going to be a hold up as you come in from General Motors. But on the Eastern Bypass, the traffic now is flowing, not a problem. Let's see what happens as we come towards the end of it. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have CT Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
So let's talk about pension, and you never forget about this, okay? CPF Financial Services is the biggest manager of pension funds in this country, you're right. The largest administrator of pension, CPF Financial Services, they have the Taifa Pension Fund, which is an umbrella pension scheme designed for employers. It's also a defined contribution pension fund managed by CPF Financial Services. They accept Tier 2 statutory contributions, and let me tell you the benefits for you as an employee, why you should tell your employer, or even for yourself as you're contributing into, as you're choosing a pension scheme, why you should think about speedy payment of benefits. TPF members receive their benefits within 14 days of leaving service, including the Tier 2 contributions that are payable at retirement. Imagine 14 days of leaving service, you say CPF, give me my money, Taifa Pension Fund, you will receive access to Sharia compliant investment. As members of TPF, employees can enjoy access to the Sharia compliant retirement benefits fund, which is administered by CPF Financial Services, SALI. Access to exclusive financial services through the CPF network. Members of the Taifa Pension Fund have access to investment opportunities, training and personal finance products, including digital lending and save as you spend, not save as you earn. Save as you spend. It's a big thing. So how do you get more information on this? Go to their website, www. How many are those, City?
3.
Those are 3. .taifapensionfund.com. That's www.taifapensionfund.com. So our next guest, we are going to talk about studying in Ireland for the next 1 hour. Yeah, and we'll also look at how well we get to understand the information that we've been talking about. But before we introduce our guest, Ndu, we'll be giving her some 25,000 shillings in coming days to somebody who does what?
Somebody who puts their money in Stanbic, right? Opening an account with Stanbic, which is your number one private bank in Kenya, isn't it? And we've been looking at a number of things that they allow you to bank easily, live joyfully. Today we're looking at creating a legacy. And what does that mean? That putting your investments in the right place, making sure that your money actually does work for you, and also making sure that the decisions you make them with the guidance of Stanbic. So, how about you open an account today, put some money into it, and Stanbic could give you 25,000 shillings. We'll talk about how you can actually get around to doing that and how you can get the 25,000 shillings to your account.
Very, very good.
Kenya's number one private bank, Stanbic.
We've also been talking about Cradle.com, www.
3 W's, then Cradle, then .com.
Very good. And we've been saying this is the place that you go to register for this Saturday's official Study in Ireland fair. So we've brought in the people who are behind it. Manish Sardana is the founder and CEO of Cradle, and Nick Marmion is Education in Ireland team lead for Middle East and Africa. Manish, Nick, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
How are you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Delighted to be in Nairobi again. Fantastic.
Karibu sana. You both will tell us about studying in Ireland and why it's important. And you'll tell us about studying in Ireland, Nick, and what that is all about. And of course, we need to understand what Cradle is and what you do and why you've partnered with Study in Ireland. But first, City will give you the day's proverb. So, Nick, he goes to an African country every week, and then he mines or harvests or fetches or sweeps or whatever he does in that country. But he comes with 5 proverbs from that country. Every day he gives us a proverb from that country. This week he's been in a country that is south of the Sahara, north of the Limpopo. That has how many neighbors? 8 neighbors, did you say?
9.
9 neighbors. That is including the Atlantic.
Including the Atlantic.
Okay.
So we could say the Atlantic is the 9th one.
Let's see if they can guess. Give the 8 neighbors.
Well, there is Central African Republic, South Sudan, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Zambia, Angola, south of the Atlantic Ocean. Yes.
Sounds like the whole of Africa. Sounds like the continent.
Its position, it's because of its position and because of its size.
It's the vast size of that country.
So it has very, very, very many neighbors.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yet it's not the largest country in Africa, is it? In terms of landmass?
No, second largest.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
There's one that's larger than that.
Yes, there's one that's largest.
Where?
Yes, we spoke about that country a couple of weeks ago. But yes.
Nick, hazard a guess.
I could hazard a guess. My father would be very disappointed because he was a geography teacher. It's the coastal piece that's throwing me. Nigeria?
What if the coastal piece wasn't throwing you out? Where would you go?
Yeah.
This is a safe space.
Democratic Republic of Congo.
Where would you go, Manish?
I would go with where Nick is going.
Where? Nigeria?
No, DRC.
DRC.
Yeah. Well, it is DRC.
My father would be proud.
Yes.
Yes. Many people don't actually know that DRC has a section that is coastal.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what was confusing, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the 11th largest country on this planet by landmass.
Yeah.
And the river Congo that passes through it is considered to be the river with the deepest river on the planet.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you only need to see that river. It is massive. Yes, it isn't
a moving
stream.
lake.
It's a that I think is a good way of putting it.
The proverb?
A message from a dead man is poison to the one who doesn't respect it.
A message from a dead man is poison to the one who doesn't respect it. Manish, what's your interpretation here?
I think like life, the world kind of throws out signals to you, and those signals point out to what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and it is for us to listen to those signals very well and then respond accordingly. And if you don't, then fate probably will not respect you very much.
Woe unto you. Woe betide you. Nick, what's yours?
Yeah, I would be following from Manish. I would say it's don't always. I would say not listen to the voices in your head. Don't ignore those, because people who have passed on, they were around you in their life for many years and gave you good advice. And some of that is a memory, and respect that memory.
Very good. Sigei, what do you say?
Well, in the previous hour, we had the Chief Justice of Kenya, and she had her opinion, and she asked, what did I think? And I said, let's take an example of the Constitution, the American Constitution. What it means, American Constitution, because we borrowed heavily from it. The people who actually penned down the original Constitution are dead. But that Constitution is still alive and is still influencing the lives of people. Yes.
Indeed. So Manish, let's start with, first of all, there are many people who know about Cradle. There are people who have interacted with Cradle, right? And I've given this example before. I've said, yes, I have interacted with Cradle because my daughter interacted with Cradle and she loved it. She loved the kind of reception and guidance that she got from Cradle, and up to the point where she chose her university. But what is Cradle and what do you do?
So Cradle is Africa's largest online higher education study abroad platform that is helping students use technology to find their best fit universities. So today Cradle works with over 550 universities in 45 different study destinations. So that makes us the most diverse portfolio of universities on the planet today. And I think the point of choosing a university and a study destination can be very, very hard. And I'm sure you would have experienced it yourself with your own daughter. And I think there are a lot of people giving you advice, a lot of agents giving advice, a lot of teachers, counselors giving advice. But everyone has an opinion on the topic. And more often than not, a lot of the advice that people get is riddled with the biases. People have their own internal motivations. So we are trying to kind of essentially use technology to make this entire process as transparent and as objective as possible. So students come to our platform. We have a tool called the University Matchmaker tool, which we have recently launched. It is fantastic. In the last 3 months of launch, we have more than 5,000 students who use this tool to find their best fit universities across the planet. Students interact with the tool, they answer a bunch of questions, and then the system would recommend to you, based on who you are as an individual and your preferences, what are the most recommended list of universities for you to apply to. And then, of course, as you know, we have a team of counselors. We have a large team in Westland's office who will now help you in the process of the application of securing your study visa, which can be quite challenging, as Nick might talk to you about later. And then we'll help you secure accommodation and then travel and then eventually get placed in the university. One of the very interesting things about Cradle is our transparency. So we have more than 50,000 courses on our platform today. For every course, you can see the entire course curriculum, you can see university ratings, you can even see employability record of the universities. Where are students getting placed in the university after their graduation? What's the employment rate? Because we understand that a lot of students who are spending all of that money going abroad to study, they are looking for, what is the ROI on my investment? And I think jobs is a very important opportunity for a student from Africa. So that's who we are. We help students search, match, and apply to universities across the world. And that's Cradle for you.
550 universities, you said?
Across 45 countries.
In 45 countries.
Yeah.
When you say you partner with them, what does that mean?
So we have direct contracts with those universities that allow us to process applications for those universities.
I see. So what is in it for you?
We get paid a certain compensation for successful placement of the students into those universities.
Okay. I see. So then let's go to Ireland. And Education in Ireland, team lead for Middle East and Africa, Nick Marmion. What is Education in Ireland?
Thank you. So Education in Ireland is the Irish government's agency with responsibility for promoting Ireland as a destination globally. So I look after Middle East and African markets. I have colleagues which are based, we've colleagues based in Dublin, they look after Asia or India and so on. So we cover the globe. Ireland's a a small player in international student recruitment. We would have maybe 45,000 students, international students, who come to study in Ireland. That's very small compared to UK or Australia. And we would probably have, in most Irish campuses, we would have somewhere between 10 and 30% of the students are international. So that means that the Kenyan students who would consider going to Ireland, they would get an Irish experience, and they would also be integrating and mixing with students from up to 160 other countries. But it's not an overly internationally student-focused experience. As I said, Ireland is a small player. We have probably 25 Irish universities which would be active in international student recruitment. We probably have about 15 which are recruiting students from African countries. And we currently have 8, I think, with us this week in Nairobi. In terms of coming to Kenya, we started coming to Kenya about 3 or 4 years ago to interest Kenyan students and to make students aware of Ireland as a destination. I think it's also important to stress two things. 80% of the Irish universities are government-owned and government-operated, and all Irish universities have their curriculum and are validated by the Irish government, including the private sector universities. So the Irish government's influence and impact and regulation of education is actually a crucial element.
So, this is interesting because you talk about there are students who have a desire to, get into higher education outside of where they live, but across the world. But at the same time, then, just based on what Nick is saying, that there are also universities that may be unknown to people around the world who also are looking for a platform for people to get to know who they are.
Absolutely.
So you're creating a balance between the two, no?
Absolutely. And you're very right. I think, Kenya, just like India, where I come from, is a Commonwealth country. And traditionally there has been, across the world in Commonwealth countries, a tendency for people to go to UK. Yep. So for the longest time, students from Kenya were just going to UK. And then and they were very unfamiliar with other destinations. And slowly, Canada started getting aggressive in the market, and Australia. So you started seeing students now leaving, not just going to UK, but going to Australia and Canada. And as Nick said, I think Ireland is sort of fairly new to the market. And I'll tell you something very interesting about kind of our history with studying in Ireland. So when we started Cradle, for you to partner with a university, you have to sign an application form. And one of the things the application forms ask you is how many universities have you already partnered with. They ask for references. They ask for how many students have you sent to that country. And our answer was 0 because we were completely new to the market. But we had a fresh perspective. We wanted to disrupt the industry. And it was, just that the Irish universities started saying yes to us. Even we had 0 credentials. It's like, we see what you guys are up to. We see Cradle is going to become a really important player, in sub-Saharan Africa. And they decided to partner with us. So for the initial kind of time when we started, we were actually essentially known as an Irish agent, because most of our partners were Irish universities. And we started kind of promoting Ireland as a destination. And I think, as Nick said, is one of the most wonderful destinations. I mean, I was just talking to Nick in the car on our way to the studio, and I said, even for my own kids, I mean, that's the destination I want to send my kids to. It's extremely multicultural. We've placed hundreds of students in Ireland so far. And the experience that we hear from the students, both in terms of, one of the things that you look for, as you go from Africa, into the West is, is that country welcoming to foreigners? And one of the things that our students tell us, more often than not, is that our island is extremely welcoming, extremely hospitable, extremely warm to students from Kenya and rest of Africa. So that's fantastic, because that cultural experience is so much part of the overall education experience. Number 2, I think Nick will talk to you about, Ireland is the European headquarters of most of the largest technology companies in the world. Also, I think pharmacy companies now, medical technology companies, fintech companies. So you have the likes of Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Microsoft, all of having their European headquarters there. And that means massive job opportunities. In fact, even from my previous job, I have a lot of my own juniors who used to report into me are actually working in Ireland, in Facebook's office, etc. So I think like more from a cultural experience, the fact that the country is warm and welcoming and offers great return on investment in terms of post-study opportunities for students to work. I think Ireland is just fantastic, and I think we were just lucky to stumble upon Ireland because everyone said no to us, and Irish University said yes to us. So this partnership is very, very special to us. And of course, you guys know we do Cradle Cup with you guys on KTN every once in a year, and that is also in partnership with one of our Irish colleges, Griffith College in Ireland. So we've had a very long, very nice and strategic relationship, shall I say, with Ireland.
Actually, coming just off of that, Nick, what Manish is saying, in terms of if you're looking at the number of countries that have now based their headquarters and their operations in Ireland, it says something about the strategy of the country. What is that? What is it that the government decided to do that then attracted all these companies to come to Ireland?
So that's an interesting point, and it would be, as Manish says, it's one of our key attractions is that for international students and Kenyan students, the post-study work opportunities are there. Ireland in the 1990s and 1980s, because we were a small, open economy, we needed to attract inward investment. So we initially started with generous tax policies to attract international companies to set up in Ireland. Over time, that tax reason has diminished in terms of as the attraction, and what those multinational companies now come to Ireland for is basically a knowledge economy, and the fact that we have not just our domestic students but those international students coming in, plus a very open approach to international workers coming in, being transferred in. So we now have approximately 1,500 international companies. As Manish said, it's medtech, it's fintech, it's medical device, engineering, pharmaceutical, the full range. All the brand names are there. And that pool of job opportunities, it's not just for potential employers post-study, but it's also the kind of companies that university students will get placed in or have internships in during the course of their study, and that is very important because they get real-world experience during their course.
So has that influenced the kind of courses that the universities in Ireland are then offering? Just looking at, so if many of the companies that are coming here are tech companies, whether it's medtech or fintech or whatever, so that has meant that many of the universities then had to look at what they're offering?
Yeah, I think because the Irish universities are a funnel for the government's investment of €1 billion a year in research that is channeled through the universities, and it's done in conjunction with with those multinational and larger Irish companies. And it's very much around applied research rather than theoretical research. And as a result, the universities can see the need further down the road for more AI, cybersecurity, fintech, also the sort of the marketing and business development skill set as well. So I think it's just to add to a point that Manish has made, is that we're delighted to be working with Cradle. I mean, Cradle, they received a positive reception when they started looking for partners. The Irish, it was a good timing because at that point the Irish universities were starting to learn a little bit more about Kenya and East Africa, and were looking for partners. And they've definitely delivered for the Irish universities. And the experience of doing the Cradle Cup has definitely raised the profile of Cradle and also Ireland as a education destination. And for them to be running an Ireland-only fair this Saturday, that's a great development for us, and we're very happy to pilot with them on that and to encourage Irish universities to participate.
So, usually when we talk about the collaboration, and that's great, but then looking at what students, future students who are looking to further their university education, what they will actually then be able to get what are we saying that you would actually then have the opportunity to look into? We've been talking about it, and we know that, okay, well, sure, you have an opportunity to meet these universities at the fair. You have an opportunity to apply, and get your admission possibly on the spot. But what else are we looking at that you can actually delve into this space, Manish?
So as Nick said, I think Ireland is extremely welcoming to students from Africa, especially East Africa and Kenya. A lot of Irish universities are offering very special scholarships and discounts to students from Kenya. So that's one of the very exciting things to look forward to in the fair, where students, when they come to universities, when they meet the universities, they show their grades, and then basis, a couple of factors, they could actually get access to on-the-spot scholarships and discounts. On the Cradle platform also, if you go today, you can look for Irish scholarships. We have all the scholarships listed on the platform. So we work very closely with Education Ireland and Irish universities to identify the right students and offer them scholarships. So that's one of the most exciting parts of being in a fair, is to get access to some of those discounts and scholarships. But also, I think it's the intimate conversations with the universities, with the representatives from universities who've been in the university on the campus, and the kind of intimate knowledge that you can get there. I think that is fantastic.
Okay, let's take a break and then we continue this conversation shortly. We are talking about studying in Ireland. Would you be interested in doing that? Please be interested. Go to cradle.com, www.craydel.com, and you will see about the Study in Ireland fair that's taking place at the Gallant Mall in Parklands this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Entry is by invitation only, and invitation is just going and registering, and it's free. Just get the invitation, right? There's no money to pay.
No.
Okay, very good. Yeah, just confirming that from the CEO himself, the founder and CEO of Cradle, Manish Sardana, who's here with the Education in Ireland team lead for Middle East and Africa, Nick Marmion. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Hi everyone. You may have heard about the official Study in Ireland fair happening next month on November 9th. Can you tell us what the students can expect?
University College Cork, or UCC as we call it, is situated in the heart of Cork City. We are the second largest city in Ireland. We have a wide variety of undergraduate and master courses in UCC. UCC was voted the 6th most sustainable university in the world, something that we're very proud of. And also, we were voted the best student campus in the Education Awards in 2021 and 2022. We look forward to seeing you in Ireland, in Cork, in UCC.
That sounds fantastic. So everyone make sure to visit the official Study in Ireland fair at the Gallant Mall, Parklands on November 9th. Make sure to register by visiting www.cradle.com or call 0799 000 444.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi, 18 degrees, highs of 22, and we'll see highs of 23 in a mostly sunny Nakuru. It's 19 and sunny in Nyeri, going to highs of 22 and highs of 23 in a mostly cloudy Eldoret at 19. 29 and partly sunny in Mombasa, and 30 and mostly sunny conditions, going to highs of 32 in Malindi. 25 and sunny in Kisumu with highs of 29, while Kakamega at 24 is cloudy with highs of 28. Into Kampala, it's mostly sunny at 22 with highs of 27, while Dar es Salaam at 29 is sunny, going to highs of 31. Johannesburg at 17 is quite windy, sunny today, highs of 27. And we're looking into a sunny Mogadishu at 30 with highs of 31. Addis Ababa at 18 is sunny with highs of 22, while Lagos at 26 is hazy. We'll see highs of 31. And it's mostly sunny at 25 in Kinshasa. We're looking into a sunny Beijing at 15, and Paris is cloudy at 10, with cloudy conditions at 10 in London, and around things off in New York, where it's partly cloudy at 21, going to highs of 23.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Minutes to 10, our conversation continues. Studying in Ireland. Would you like to found the next Tala? Then you should study in Ireland. But before then, you can download Tala so you can learn more about it. And then when you go to Ireland, you know that, okay, I can improve one or two things on Tala. How do you download Tala? Go to Google Play download Tala. It's a simple and easy way to register. And once you register, start using it, okay? Because the more you use it, the faster you pay, the more prudent you are in your payment, is the higher your rating goes. And then also, your limit keeps rising from 1 shilling up to 50,000 shillings that you can borrow on Tala, and you can repay within 61 days. Choose any day. You can say, I'll pay in 2 days. That's fine. All right, so City, we've been talking about Cradle and the Study in Ireland fair that's taking place this Saturday at the Garland Mall in Parklands. But then there are some participating universities. Just remind us about those universities. Which ones are they?
Well,
and then we'll talk to Nick about them.
Griffith College, University of Galway, University of Limerick, Dublin City University, Technological University of the Shannon, Independent College, and University College Cork.
Okay.
Yes.
So Nick Marmion, the Education in Ireland team lead for Middle East and Africa, are all these public universities?
Of that list, I think 6 are public universities and 2 are private universities.
Okay.
And the public universities in Ireland, as I said, are sort of state-owned and operated, and they form into 2 categories, which are what we call the old bricks and mortar, those universities which have a long history, 200-300 years, and then the more newer universities, which are some University of Limerick, Dublin City University, and also our universities of technology. And then, as I said, we have Independent College and Griffith College participating as well from the private sector.
Okay. So are they all offering from postgrad all the way to...
No, they offer a different range. So generally, the state universities would offer a wider range of undergraduate programs and a narrower range of postgraduate programs. And then the private universities offer a narrower range of undergrad programs and then a wider range of postgrad. This is just the way the provision of courses has developed over time. The universities and the private colleges have been fairly quick to recognise the opportunities in East Africa and Kenya. When we started coming here 5 years ago, at that point Ireland was pretty much unknown, and there were maybe 50 students a year going from Kenya to study in Ireland. Now we're probably at 300 plus students every year, so it's been quite significant growth over the last couple of years. And I think that's predicated on a number of things. Firstly, because so many of our universities are in the state sector, we're not in it for the money. We're in for effectively not for profit. We price our courses generally 10 to 20% lower than the UK would be. The quality of education that you get is guaranteed by the state, and Ireland is well known for the quality of its education within Europe. International students get exactly the same rights on campus, exactly the same access as domestic students, and then the post-studies work opportunities are there for those Kenyan students who choose to remain in Ireland after they've graduated. I think it's also important to stress that because undergraduate students are they're 18, they're 19, they're going to Ireland, they're relatively young. So the Irish universities put a very strong premium on the pastoral care that they receive. And because our universities don't have enormous populations of international students, they can provide that one-to-one service and that one-to-one level of care for those international students, because an unhappy student or a student who hasn't settled or is still struggling to find accommodation, or that's where the student services come in and help that student to settle as quickly as possible. Really, we don't intend to be the biggest player in this international recruitment game, but we do try and deliver a student-centric service, which is very much focused on how that student settles and develops.
And so for a lot of people going into a university education, you often think about what happens after that education. So in terms of opportunities, what have you seen have been, solid, substantial opportunities that can then be presented after you've completed your university education?
There's very much so. The opportunities are real. So for those students who come to Ireland and would do an undergraduate degree, first of all, they would get this work placement opportunity. as part of their course. That can be 3, 6 or 9 months. During that college period, they can actually work as well. They can work 20 hours a week or 40 hours during summertime. This allows them to help contribute to their costs. This can be working in restaurants or shops and so on. Once a student graduates with that undergrad, they have the opportunity to work for 1 year in Ireland, but what might make more sense would be to go straight and to do a master's degree immediately afterwards. That allows you to specialise, develop a skill set which makes you more attractive to the employment market. And once you've graduated with a master's, you can work for 2 years on the gift of the Irish government for a 2-year work visa. You can work for any employer in Ireland. And the universities would have very strong work placement offices. So we would have, some of the universities who are with us this week would have post-study employment rates of 96, 97% within a 3 or 4 month period. And all of these multinational companies with operations in Ireland and the larger Irish companies, they are the employer pool that those international students can work for. Many find work within. I have no hard data, but I would say that at least 50% of those who graduate with masters are going on to. More than that. I'd say 90% are going on to employment within Ireland, and of that, beyond the 2 years, once you find an employer who will sponsor you, you can stay on the employer's visa indefinitely.
All right.
So there is a pathway for those students who might look to stay in Ireland for a longer period.
So if we say the typical duration for an undergrad course would be, what, 4 years?
Yes.
Right? So are you getting a 5-year visa as a student?
You're getting effectively a 4-year study visa and then a 1-year work visa.
Do you have to come and reapply for it?
Yes, you do, but it's not. It's done in Dublin. It's done in Ireland, so it's a fairly.
So while you're in university,
yes,
you still apply for it from there.
It's a fairly seamless process.
Okay. You wanted to add something there, Manish?
Yeah, I think one of the things that, if I may just add on why, what we've seen as Ireland as a great destination is, some of the universities we're talking about, these are top ranked universities in the world. I mean, that's something that we don't emphasize enough, I think, in terms of ranking. Maybe, Nick, you can throw some light on that.
That's a good point. I mean, our universities generally are small. So we have 2 universities which appear in the top 200 universities globally. However, if you actually go a more research-based approach is to look at the faculty rankings globally. And when you look at the faculty rankings, Ireland is first in the world in immunology, second in the world in food science, third in the world in nanotechnology, and so on. So the faculties score very highly at that faculty ranking basis. So, there are a number of options in Ireland. We encourage students to look at the range of options to consider how a competing option for the UK or in Australia or in Ireland, how they fare. I think generally we will come out fairly strongly in that comparison.
Okay.
And if I may just add one more thing, I mean, talking about opportunities for students, we understand that international education can be expensive and it can be hard in pocket. One of the very interesting things about Ireland is that you can also work while you're studying on the campus. I think there's a minimum wage of 13 euros per hour, and it allows you to work about 20 hours a week. So if you just do the math, I mean, what you can make is around 2.2 million shillings every year, even when you're studying on the campus. Right.
And can go a long way.
That goes a long way in subsidizing for your cost of education, your cost of accommodation, and just your living expenses.
So let's talk about those costs. All right.
Yeah.
So let's start with the cost of accommodation, which you can say it's uniform across. How's it like? What do you need to live in Ireland?
So we would generally use a calculation that students would need the approximately 15 to 18,000 euros per year, which we understand is comparable with the UK and with Australia in terms of living costs. Clearly, living costs in Dublin, the capital, will be higher than some of the smaller cities and towns in Ireland. But generally, we don't want students and parents to underestimate what it's going to cost them. So we sort of say budget for 15 to 18,000 per year on top of your fee costs.
Okay. And what's the average for the fees?
That depends entirely on the kind of course that you're looking to do. If you're looking to do business studies in one of the private universities, you might be talking around €10,000 per year. If you're looking to do computer science in one of our higher ranked, more established universities, you're probably talking €29,000 per year. If you want to do medicine, that's completely different. That's about €50,000 per year. And there are very few places in medicine. So yeah, it is, we know from cost comparison that we are competitively priced versus other countries. And as Manish said, there are merit-based scholarships available from the universities for some courses. The Irish government has a limited scholarship fund, but that really only applies to postgraduate study.
In fact, actually, we had a couple of students who went on 100% government merit-based scholarships this year, to Griffith College. But apart from those merit-based, a lot of people, when they say scholarships, they assume 100% scholarships. So I'm assuming you're talking about that. But there are a lot of partial scholarships and discounts that are available across most universities that you'll be meeting this Saturday in the fair, and across most universities that you work in Ireland. So you can expect to get scholarships between 20% to 40% in most universities.
And can you put them together? Can you patch them up, or are they all the scholarships come from the universities themselves?
These scholarships, the partial scholarships, are funded by the universities themselves. So they are offering, think of them as discounts on fees. Yeah. But as Nick said, I think the fees in Ireland is around 15 to 20% cheaper than the fees in the UK.
20% is a lot.
Yeah.
20% is a lot. What's the vibrancy of life like for students in Ireland? That's one of the things that you're thinking of. These are young, impressionable, youthful people.
Yeah.
They want to feel alive, right, as they're doing all this thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Ireland has a young population. We would have about 30%, more than 30% are under 25. And any university and college in Ireland, they will have, as I said, anywhere from 10 to 30% of international students. And they also have a wide range of sort of clubs, societies. Many of the universities will have a lot of sports facilities on campus as well. Irish people are like Kenyans. They like food, friends, family, music, enjoying themselves.
One word, sherehe.
Okay. I'll take that one away. But there is, the Kenyan students that I know, their experience has been, from a social perspective, has been good. Okay. So they're looked after by the university. They're encouraged to participate in the clubs and societies in order to make both domestic friendships but international friendships. So it is very sort of international and multicultural in terms of the making up of the various societies and clubs.
Nick, this is a safe space, huh?
Very much so. I mean, Ireland.
So let's talk about the other side.
Yeah,
vice.
Ireland's considered to be the second most safe country in the world based on the world's peace index. Nowhere's perfect, and it's important that universities look after the students and that they have facilities. And they would have most of the universities would have both medical staff on campus. They have also mental health staff as well, so ensuring that students cope well. Ireland's a fairly safe place for students, at that age. My own daughters are now sort of 18 and 21 and they're in college or just graduated from college. And yeah, we would consider that Dublin is a safe place to be. And I think it's also, creating a circle of friends when you're there, new friends, that provides a kind of circle of comfort and people who are watching out for you and making sure that you're, and that's why Ireland, being such a relatively friendly place and with a young population, that happens quickly. But people need to be open to that, new friendships.
The only country safer than you is Iceland.
Yes, and they're all islands. It's Iceland, Ireland, New Zealand.
Yes,
it's all land.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's Austria in between, but yes, New Zealand. Exactly. What does one do if one wants to become a citizen of Ireland?
So that. So a typical pathway for that would be that you do either an undergraduate or a master's degree, which entitles you to that 2-year work opportunity. You then work for an employer. The employer would then sponsor you, so they effectively take over that visa, and you work for that employer. And once you are sponsored by an employer, then the clock starts ticking in terms of residency, and that can take generally 4 to 5 years. But a lot of students have gone down that road.
Ireland is, well, among the many wonderful things it's known for, its diaspora.
Yes.
It probably has one of the largest diasporas on the planet.
Yeah, we go everywhere.
Yes, you do. What role does the diaspora play in the well-being of the nation?
That's a very interesting question. I've lived in Canada and the US and Belgium and Dubai, and the diaspora, where they've gone ahead, that can be the current generation, that can be previous generations, they offer, I suppose in the same way that you have Kenyan populations in North America, would provide that welcome mat for Kenyans who land into. So in that way, the Irish around the world have provided that welcome mat for people coming out who are, trying to make sense of a new place and place that they've decided to come and work and live. So I've interacted with the diasporas a lot around the world, and my experiences would be overall positive.
See, why I ask is because one of the things that we have experienced with that diaspora, they probably form the largest foreign exchange remunerations into the country.
Yeah.
It's with that in mind that I asked about, because when I look at what's the population right now, is it 6 million or 5.5?
5 and a bit.
5 and a bit, okay. 5 and a bit, and yet the diaspora population is probably, 15 times that?
Yeah, it's quite significant. Yeah.
It was with that in mind that I asked the
only problem is they're not sending money back anymore. That's the difficulty. If they were sending lots of their money back, we'd be very happy.
They wouldn't forgotten the old country.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just like, we're gone.
They detached.
So speaking of that, so then immigration is a thing, Manish. And so again, just looking at what come Saturday, and folks are going to be asking that question, that I could get admission, I could get a scholarship, 50%, 100%, whatever it could be, but then how am I going to get there in terms of application for visas? What is being done, or what has been done to ensure that process can be seamless, and then also staying, when you're there? It's a worry point for a lot of folks.
Yeah. So that where Cradle comes in. We have a tremendously well experienced and seasoned team of counselors who help students in the entire journey, every step of the way, right from applying to universities. As I said, earlier, we have extremely strong relationship with Irish universities. That means that we can get offer letters extremely fast. In fact, in some cases, in some universities that we have very strong relationships, we can get offer letters as fast as 24 hours. And these offer letters come with the partial scholarships and discounts I was talking about. So after you receive the offer letter, the next step is for you to pay a deposit to the university. That goes straight to the university, not to us. And after that, you get your letter of acceptance, and then we help you in the visa process. So we have a strong visa team that will help you in the entire process of understanding all the visa documentation, the requirement. We'll make sure that we'll sit with you. Most students actually come to our office where we sit with our visa counselors. We sit with them, we do the document checklist, we see everything is in order, we review their bank statements. And we give them a lot of guidance and support in the way, and then we make sure that they are well prepared for the visa submission. And then after that, they have to apply for the visa in the Irish embassy here. It's not far from here. It's in Wairimu way. And then after that, you will get a visa. And once you get a visa, we actually do a pre-departure briefing. So the pre-departure briefing, we will tell students, guide students on what to expect when they go to universities. As a testament to our kind of partnership with Irish universities, we also have access to a lot of student ambassadors. If you want to talk to fellow Kenyan students who are already in that university, you can talk to them. They can give you a lot of guidance. We have even a lot of these students who've gone to Ireland, through Cradle. They'll send us videos this is where you can buy unga flour from.
Yeah.
The supermarket where you can get all of that. And African society is actually very big in Irish University, very strong, culturally active, societies. So we'll make sure that, if you want to talk to fellow students to understand what to expect, if you have certain questions that you're more comfortable asking fellow students in the university, you can talk to them. So we make sure that that bridge is there, for the students here in Kenya. And then we bid them farewell and wish them all the best for their next journey ahead.
Then what? Do you offer, I'm sure, now with the universities, the guidance and counseling that they will need?
Absolutely.
Once they get there, obviously there's going to be some shocks here and there.
Yeah.
So how do you handhold them?
Yeah, so as Nick said, I think, with Irish University, there's a very strong, student community support. I think, Nick, you talked about it earlier as well.
That's a valid point. And what's interesting is that, Manish mentioned about African societies on campus. The number of African students that are going to Ireland to study has risen from maybe 500 students 5 years ago to about 2,000 students per year now. So there's a much stronger presence of African students on campus. And the people who are here this week are the Africa officers for the universities based in each of those campuses. They are always available on campus. So the person that the student meets here is the person who they can go and see on campus in Ireland or in Dublin, Cork, or wherever. And that personal connection is something that we value and we put out there as being important for the students. That it's not nameless, faceless. It's real people they've met here in Kenya who they can find on campus.
Okay. So the official Study in Ireland fair is taking place this Saturday in Parklands. Register through www.cradle.com. You'll go and find these officers from those universities. Of course, Manish and Nick are going to be there as well. Why is it ending at 1 as the final question? Why 1? Why not 5?
Yeah, we just have to keep a time, but it never usually ends at 1. we did a fair, last time, you guys talked about it as well. I mean, we keep a time at 1, but typically we stretch to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I mean, there is so much of inquiry. Students have so many questions that, it does extend quite a lot.
All right. So we'll see how long this one lasts.
Yeah.
And how many people come. Please just go register today on www.cradle.com. That's www.cradle.com. And the fair is taking place this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Gallant Mall in Parklands. Manish Sardana, founder and CEO of Cradle, and Nick Marmion, who's the Education in Ireland team lead for Middle East and Africa, have been our guests. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. Do you have yourselves a lovely day. See you tomorrow.